What up, though, One Pride? This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, a podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ryan McCluskey, which can only mean one thing. It is time for your weekly dose of college knowledge. Yes, it is the college football podcast. Penny for your thoughts. Ryan, we've just had our first championship game of the season. We've got the semi-finals coming up of the FBS playoffs, and more importantly now, it doesn't seem like it because the Lions season's still alive and kicking at the minute. We're into draft season. We're about to start the path to the draft.
Yep. Let's say that we're in full swing now. Let's say we're in all-star games, we're in the playoffs. Whether people have got interest, their interest is wavered, or they're firmly entrenched in the semi-finals if they're still representing. But yeah, now really does mark between now and April. It will go by in the blink of an eye.
Exactly. It's just come like that. And as I say, yeah, so today we are going to be taking a look at the first of those All-Star games that Ryan mentioned are happening. It's happening in 3 days' time on the 11th. Training has already begun for it. Time waits for no man. It is the Hula Bowl. The Hula Bowl where you'll get a lot of the lesser known names here. A lot of the guys who perform well here get invites to the Shrine Bowl, to the Senior Bowl, and the names, if you learn them now, as time goes along and they get big and they get to Indy, you'll be like, I heard of those guys really early. So this is why you like to do that. So we're going to take a look at the roster today, have a look at a few of our favorite players, break down a few of the guys, just give you an overall view of some of the players playing. Obviously, I can't deep dive everyone because there's like 100 players in this or something stupid like that. So if you hear of anyone as we're chatting, you think, "Oh, I'm interested in them," whatever, just let us know. We'll do further work for you on the occasion. Obviously, we'll be back next week to tell you how the game goes as well. Obviously, we'll take a little look at the Cotton and Orange Bowl as well. Because they're coming up in a few days' time. And yeah, any other questions of that this evening? We'll just take this nice and easy, really. So that's what we've got in store for today. Let's just get all the housekeeping out of the way first, and then we can get on with this. So the Roar of the Lions UK Discord, if you want in on that, let us know. We will fire you across a link there. The main podcast, we're getting a week off because the Lions have the bye in the playoffs, and there is no game for us this week. We get to sit and watch stress-free playoff football all weekend, which is gonna be fun. So the main pod's gonna be back on Monday, where I think we're doing a mailbag or something like that. So if there's any Lions questions you want us to answer or think about over the weekend, whatever, then just let us know in good time and we can get some answers ready for that. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. All your support means the world to us. We're part of Lions Nation Unite as well, Herman Moore's project to bring together the best in Lions content creators into one forum to chat anything and everything Lions. You'll see me over there on occasion with the big man himself. Don't forget, we're a Twitch affiliate. We're monetized on YouTube. We have tip jar as well, so if you want to help us that way, great. But primarily, we just love having you in the building, talking ball with us. We've got the feedback form as well, so fill that in if you have any suggestions for the show. Shout out to everyone who's already joined us. See, Mile Marker is in the building. Hope you are doing well, Mile Marker. If you want to shout out, you got any questions, just put it in the chat as the evening progresses. Right. Not doing anything really in terms of news today, of course. Everything's going on at the minute. Transfer portal's open, some head coaching spots are still open, there's bits all over the place. So we're gonna leave out all that stuff till the draft's done and we can fill some shows up then with the overall picture of what's going on with all of that. However, before we start talking about the Hula Bowl stuff this evening, there is one game that has happened this week of particular importance, and that was the first championship game of this cycle. It was the FCS Championship game on Monday. I think I remember rightly, stayed up till stupid o'clock in the morning watching this thing. Montana State versus North Dakota State, and I'm going to hand this over to our resident FCS expert here, but a game that looked like it was over early. Ryan in one hand, then came back into both hands, then was tossed between both hands, and then was decided by a fake punt, possibly the greatest ending to a game ever. This was a great game for the neutral.
Yep. As you say, they ran out to a I think about a 17-point lead after a full quarter heading in towards half time. They started very sluggish, Montana State. They were very reluctant outside of their quarterback to generate any real offense. Tommy Mellott was probably the only real reason they were in this game at all. He's small, he's compact, but he is an incredible runner. This game was all about two incredible dual threat quarterbacks. Both can throw the ball, but it's what they can both do with their legs. And both QB's legs were the exact reason this game went bang bang. And yeah, for a long time I thought the Bison were looking pretty comfortable, especially in the first half. But Montana State came out early in the second half, managed to get a stop either side of two scores. And yeah, in the end, a lot closer than I thought it would have been. And yeah, they made the Bison sweat. It was very uncomfortable for them in the end. But big standouts on the day, Tommy Mellott, the do it all Montana State quarterback, Cam Miller, who had a crazy like 75-yard rushing touchdown. Honestly, kind of crazy. The defense went like complete cover zero. They spread their linebackers completely out, and if you see the view behind him, you could see literally it was like Moses parting the Red Sea. He snaps the ball, like I say, the center just puts a little bit of hole. That's it. That's all it took. And he sprinted the length of the field, and that was one of the nails in the coffin. But yeah, Taylor Raja Nelson, the small, undersized, diminutive wide receiver, he helped move the chains and help them in the passing offense. And then, yep, there's another Lance brother. Like I say, Bryce, the 6'3" junior, 220 pounds, made some fantastic plays, especially in and around the red zone. He's built like a tight end. He boxes guys out like Antonio Gates, and he's very strong, physical, and contested catches. And he was the go-to man moving the ball down the field. Very impressive. Had a great year. Got a big decision to make now. Eligible to declare coming off a fantastic championship appearance. Some will probably prompt him to go get like pre-draft grades, or if he does decide to come back next year. I wouldn't. I'd like to say he's still got a little bit of time if he wants to hit the portal. He will get FBS interest just because of one, who his name is, but two, he's been very good this year. He will generate NFL buzz. So yeah, fantastic game for the neutral. 10 titles in 14 years. Like I said, this is one of the most, we're looking right now, we are witnessing one of the biggest collegiate sporting dynasties of the last 20, 30, 40 years. The Bison, the fact that they just do so well, like I said, one, they get the best linemen in the country. They produce more FCS or NFL level offensive linemen than anyone I know at that level. They always recruit really good quarterbacks. Like I say, they're always dual threat with good arms. And then their defense, so stout. Sent a load of guys into the portal this year. One we'll be watching is Cole Wisniewski, the free safety that went to Texas Tech. He was one of the stars in the FCS last year, so I'm going to watch him big time this year. They're producing top level talent. And then yeah, on the other side, Montana State, their two-time All-American left tackle has hit the portal after the loss. And probably he's going to be like the number one tackle right now in the transfer portal. Absolute mountain of a man. But yeah, two QBs that unfortunately they're done. Like I said, they've used all the thing. Montana State now has got back-to-back finals, and Tom Mellott unfortunately has come out of the wrong side of both of them, and that is really sad. So we're now seeing Tommy Mellott, Cam Miller, and with this, we're going to see the last year of Mark Gronowski, who's committed to Iowa. So that little holy trinity of quarterbacks for me that have probably dominated the last 3 or 4 years of college football, they're all nearly gone. They've all nearly flown the nest. So we're going to see a passing of the guard next year. It's going to be interesting to see how these two teams do with new people under center.
Yeah, I know that Gronowski news didn't go down particularly well with you. He's going
Yeah.
to
Someone
be a
bookmarked my
hand.
tweet. I'm going to imagine they're going to come back in 6 months and be like, "Oh, he passed for 20 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. We were wrong."
Who knows? Maybe it's a brand
They
new.
have got a new offensive coordinator, though, Iowa. That
Yeah,
is the one intriguing thing that I think made him got him there because they've got the guy from the NFL, haven't they?
yeah, they have. So,
So it will be very interesting to see, like I say. But yeah, could have hit the draft. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Malott and Cam Miller because Cam Miller, like I say, I think is going to is it the Senior Bowl.
he's going to the Senior Bowl, yes, I
Yes, he is.
believe.
Yeah, and like I say, Malott will get interest as well. Maybe he's a late call up to one of these games. But yeah, these are all like three. big names at this level. So we may hear them or see them in the UFL, the CFL, or potentially as UDFA quarterbacks going into the next year. So yeah, but yeah, it's a great game. I knew these two were going to get here. Like I said, I flipped just to NDSU. It was just too fast to start. And that fact is that the leading receiver for the Bobcats was their tight end of a 53-yard catch, which was Leonard. But other than that, they were not able to get anything going through the air. It was primarily on the ground, just a bit one-dimensional in the end, where NDSU moved it all around and they also had a strong aerial attack as well.
Yeah, and then as they ending with the very rare fake punks, there was so
Yeah.
little time left, they had
There's
to
time
rush the
left on the
punter.
clock. Like I say, they managed to keep it. If that goes out the end zone for, like, say, a touchback, he looks like a fool. Like I say,
Yeah.
it's got to land in bounds. It's got to trickle. And like I say, by the time it was downed, no time left.
No, they had to rush the punter because of the time left. So yeah, you don't see it very often, but he did just enough, and it's like, yeah, that's fitting way maybe for the game to end. But like you say, the dynasty's there, and if they hadn't have met one another, it'd have probably been both Dakota teams again this year. I mean, is it now time? Is it time for them to move now? Because you look at the standard of football they've played in this playoff run, and it's just there's so few people who can actually really stand up to them. Even in this game, they just went out to such a dominant lead, and then even if they weren't playing that well, they had enough of a lead to hang on. It just seems like the gap is too big now.
Oh yeah, if you were to ask me or most other, like say, the guys that have big YouTube channels about college football, they'd probably tell you what's left for them to achieve. Like I say, they clearly don't need money. They don't need recognition. They don't need the fame. They schedule in an FBS game pretty much every year. But like I say, 10 titles in 14 years, what's left? They've easily got the 5 million buyout. They've got every Power 5, every G5 conference would want them. I'm not sure. Someone, like say, point me to an article of reasons why they won't make the jump. It's not like someone won't go with them. Like I say, the Jackrabbits would love to probably go with them, and a conference will gladly take both of them, just purely because of where they are geographically. And like I say, then the Battle of the Wild will carry on. I, if they do go, the FCS is in trouble because they're the poster boys. So it would be pretty catastrophic if they do lose them. But I'm surprised they've kept all of them this long.
Yeah, yeah. It does
The
seem like the
Fargo
time
Dome,
is
like I
near.
say, it's not big, but it's an intimidating crowd. Like I say, you won't find many better teams ever at home in the FCS. They're absolutely dominant at the Fargo Dome.
Yeah, exactly. It does seem like the time is nigh for them now, but yeah, well done to North Dakota State, FCS champions once more, got the bragging rights over their rivals, and we'll see what happens with them as regards to alignment in the future. Right. To say that's really all the news we're really going to cover today because we've got the Hula Bowl to do. So without further ado, let's dive down into it. We kind of had a little rush through of the offense last week, but we're going to slow it down and go back over it and do it all as one big group here. We're going to pick out a few of the players that we like from these rosters, talk about them a bit more. And me, I've got all my stats and bits out there that I can for all of them, just the base stats for these guys to give you a little indication about what the game's about. I say, anyone takes your interest, let us know. We'll do some extra work on them there. But yeah, let me just grab my list up because I've got about 10 different sets of notes for this. Hence why you should do this a lot more organized. So the Hula Bowl roster for 2025. So with these All-Star games, they are subject to people dropping out, people not going there, people getting elevated to other bowl games. So this is not going to be 100% accurate. I've been through Draft Diamonds, I've been through their Twitter page, I've been through everything to try and compile the most up-to-date roster I can find. So if there's players there that are not on this list, or vice versa, there's players on it that are not there, then I apologize, but it's very hard to get these 100% accurate. 'Cause the Hula Bowl don't put their actual roster out on the website till the game is done, which sucks big time. And anyway, you get to find out about a lot of guys you've probably not heard about yet. So let's start off with the quarterbacks. First and foremost, I just need to get my notes up here. So the list has grown a little since last week. So we've got 8 there currently. Whether they're all going to play, I don't know or not. But as we mentioned, we've got Brady Cook from the Missouri Tigers. We've got Will Rogers from the Washington Huskies. We've got Spencer Petras from the Utah State Aggies. We've got Connor Bazelak from the Bowling Green Falcons. We've got Matthew Downing, the FCS component of this from the Elon Phoenix. And then three newbies that we've had added that this list weren't on last week. We've got Peyton Thorne. Michigan State fans will know him, but he is most recently from the Auburn Tigers. He's 6'2", 203 pounds. We got Seth Hennigan, the gunslinger from Memphis. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. And the really intriguing wild card, which I only found out about today, and you heard about him recently because we did a JUCO segment recently, and he was in this as an honorable mention because he can't play FBS football, but he's going to try his luck in the NFL. That is Hunter Deckers, the quarterback from Iowa Western Community College. So just to quickly get the stats down of these guys. So this is vastly a pocket passing class here. So you've got Brady Cook. He's dual threat-ish, I've put. 9,000 passing yards, 65% completion rating, 49 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. He's got 1,700 rushing yards with 20 touchdowns, but that's over like 5 years, so it evens out a bit. You've got Will Rogers. Him who's going to go down in record books. Absolute pocket passer. 14,708 passing yards at 69% accuracy. 108 touchdowns to 35 interceptions. He's got just 318 yards of rushing over 6 years and two touchdowns on the ground. We've got Spencer Petras. He's pocket passer. 7,500 yards at 60% passing. 41 touchdowns to 30 interceptions. He's got 12 rushing touchdowns, but only 200 yards there. And then you got Connor Bazelak. He's got 12,372 passing yards at 62% accuracy, 66 touchdowns and 39 interceptions. But as mentioned, his last 2 years at Bowling Green, he's gone 30 for 12 in that regard. He's improved vastly. 7 touchdowns on the ground. Matthew Downing is another pocket passer from Elon. In his time there, the last couple of years, 4,000 passing yards at 60%, 35 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns, but again, does not rush. Peyton Thorne, he's dual threat-ish, I've put. There's no outright dual threat guy here, but 11,000 passing yards at 61%, 86 touchdowns, 43 interceptions, which is the problem, 2-1 over his entire career, 1,700 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. 1,000 of those have been his last 2 years at Auburn, so they've turned him into more of a dual threat. He wasn't before. Then you've got Seth Hennigan. 14,300 yards at 64% passing, 104 touchdowns to just 31 interceptions. And that's in just 4 years he's racked up over 14,000 yards. He's got 1,400 on the ground with 10 touchdowns. And then Hunter Deckers, the wild card. He's a pocket passer. His lone year as a starter at Iowa State, he passed for 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions, but he was very young then. His last year at Iowa Western, he threw for nearly 4,000 yards, 32 touchdowns, and just 10 interceptions. We have a wide variety of guys here, but the first one I want to talk about very quickly, Rye, is Hunter Deckers. So, for those who don't know, he was a very big rising star at Iowa State, got the job there whilst he was young, and then he got caught gambling. But most specifically, he got caught gambling on Iowa State sports, including his own football team, which is a blacklistable offense when it comes to the FBS, and they barred him from all NCAA competitions. So he had to go down to JUCO because JUCO is not enforced by the NCAA. So, and neither is the NFL, but this is really intriguing, right? Because this was a guy who was at Power 5 level who had a lot of hype behind him and has shown that he can be a really good quarterback. He stands and delivers, passes the ball really well, and that potentially is a future for him there. But he's got a lot of explaining to do to evaluators when he's there, and he's got a lot to prove in this off season.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's, like I say, was at the top of the, well, like I said, the numbers weren't great by it, but he was, like I say, king of the world. And he has been royally humbled. Like I say, going down to, well, if you're playing Iowa Wesleyan, Iowa Western, you're playing Hutchinson. Like I say, that means you're at the level of East Mississippi Community College. Like I say, these are schools from the Last Chance U, all featured there. I've watched the extended highlights of the JUCO National Championship, and Deckers, To be fair, 29 of 51 for 393 yards and two touchdowns and no interceptions. Absolutely, he was a monster on the day. He was absolutely slinging it around like nobody's business. And at the half, it had the Iowa Western Reavers up 17-7. Now, well, they did crumble in the second half and they did end up losing to the Hutchinson Blue Dragons. If I remember rightly as well, Iowa Western, I'm pretty sure, were the number one ranked team. I think they had the number one ranking, and Hutchinson, I think, were two or three. So they were the number one team in JUCO at the time. Like I say, a phenomenal year. 6'3", 215 pounds. Like I said, only a redshirt sophomore, but that's because of the loss of eligibility. Because the fact, like I say, he's been blacklisted. And it's not just, like I say, we can think about Jameson Williams, like I say, where he's not betting on sports, but to bet on games you can influence, you can be involved in. Honestly, I'm surprised. I mean, to be fair, at the JUCO level, they're really not picky. They will take the kids with the worst disciplinary records and the worst academics because they need their football programs because they're in small towns, small places. So to get a big FBS name that's been blacklisted, he could have done anything. He could have done worse stuff, and they still would have let him play. Still took him to a national title game, so for them it worked out fine. He has probably been to the bottom of the bottle. I imagine like I probably pretty much turned his whole fate upside down. So I imagine he's had to rebuild himself. And I'd like to think he's probably a better person for it. I imagine this has been quite character building. Wherever this school is, I imagine it was a tiny town with very few people and not used to the shining lights of the Big 12 he was once part of. So yeah, there will be a lot of questions. Like I said, there'll be the interviews and that. He will. They're probably not asking about the offense, but they're going to ask him what's happened since. What have you learned? What would you do differently? And like I say, what's your plan to do going forward? For me, he's the second most interesting player out of talent wise. So I think he's got everything he needs to be a potential more than semi-pro professional quarterback. Like you say, maybe Arena League, UFL, CFL, whatever. Like you say, but the talent's there, the size is there as well, the build, the IQ, the doesn't hang on to the ball too often. Discipline, probably the easiest thing you can fix. Talent you can't fix, you've got it in your hand, but discipline, you can fix that. Like I say, he's paid the price. So I'd like to think that he will come out of this a lot better off. For me, Seth Hennigan is the number one. The Tigers, like I said, there in recent years, their offense has been absolutely dominant. They can drop 40, 50 points any given weekend. Like I said, he's here with one of his star receivers as well now. So there's a connection at his camp straight away. I'd like to see them both in the same team. But yeah, Seth Hennigan, he's a star in the making. He has been incredibly productive and protected the ball for someone that has attempted that many passes over such a short few years. I think he's got a very bright future, like I say. But yeah, very pass heavy. Not one of these guys would I really trust to splash plays with their legs. Like I say, a lot of these guys will. A lot of them have got minus yards because they've eaten sacks. You just didn't take off. Like I say, they would have to step up into the pocket. But yeah, it's going to be a strong air raid kind of scheme from a lot of these guys.
A ton of experience though, right? Will Rogers, he's broken
Yeah, a
records.
lot of these guys have at least 3 or 4 years under their belts. Minimum.
Bazelek, Thornton, they're all in five
Yeah.
figures.
A lot of
And
these guys as well are probably at least 23.
yeah, they're all 5, 6 year guys. But
Yeah, these
apart
are
from
all
Hennigan,
older guys. Yeah. A lot of these
Hennigan's
guys
done
here have
this
been
in
here 24 plus.
Hennigan's done 14,000 yards in 4 years, and that was including a slow first year when he was, integrating into become a starter. So that shows you he's been going at like 4,000 a year plus, and it's crazy. But that Memphis team has been very good, right? I don't know. You look at this lineup. How many do you think like get in with a reasonable chance of maybe not draft? Well, maybe a day three draft or as a priority free agent. How many of them do you really see there? And who benefits from this the most? Who needs this the most in terms of a really good All-Star game? Because again, a lot of them are very experienced, and you don't know what they've got left to prove.
Uh, Will Rogers needs it. Not a good year for Washington. I didn't like the fit. Honestly, I thought the moment he left Mid-State, I think probably should have just gone pro. He didn't gain anything. He lost out. But also, he's the most one-dimensional quarterback of all of them. That kills him. There's no way for me he can be drafted because, like I say, the air raid scheme, the deep floods, the spread offense, just not very pro. And like I say, in the pocket, if it breaks down, floundering fish. Probably ate hundreds of sacks. Because like I say, it's just the inability to escape and extend plays with his legs. So I look at most of them and I don't really see any of them being certain to be drafted. Maybe Brady Cook, but like I say the majority of all of them are priority UDFAs. They'll probably all get camp workouts. A majority of them will be trying to stick around on a practice squad. But that's because, like I say, well, it's just that's the life of a day three UDFA quarterback now. They're all just trying to battle for the emergency QB3 spot.
Yeah, practice squads and that. But again, there's gonna be a ton of experience on show this week. So maybe one of them will surprise us up to this point. We will see with that. But that is your quarterbacks there for the Hula Bowl. In terms of the running backs, we've got six. I can't find any more in here, but it seems they're going with the six, which I suppose is three per side. It seems all right. So we've got Micah Bernard from the Utah Utes. He's 5'11", 206 pounds. We've got Mario Anderson Jr. from the Memphis Tigers. He's 5'8", 208 pounds. We've got Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt from the Arizona Wildcats. He's 5'11", 208 pounds. We've got Penny Boone from the UCF Knights. He's 6'1", 232 pounds. We've got Quinton Cooley, Mighty Mouse himself from the Liberty Flames. He's 5'7", but he's 220 pounds. And then we've got the FCS upstart again, Shunderick Powell from the Central Arkansas Bears. So just to give you a bit of background on these guys. So in terms of Micah Bernard, he's a career Utah Ute, 2,226 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns, going at 5.3 yards per carry, fumbled just 7 times. He's got 762 receiving yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. Plenty of reps on kick and punt return units for special teams. So this is a guy, he's been consistently a 5+ yard per carry guy over his career. This year he had 1,012 yards at 5.1 yards per carry this season, and this was facing loaded 8 and 9 man boxers all the time because that Utah QB room was not good this year. He doesn't show the fancy stats of some of the other guys and some of the other more elite running backs in this class, but you've got to remember he was in rotation for his first few years with Jaquindon Jackson, Tavian Thomas, TJ Pledger for the majority of his first 3 years. It was meant to be his year in 2023. He got hurt early after one game, missed the season, but when it was his year this year, he's got 1,000 yards on what was a really bad team, as I say, rushing 5 yards per carry against opposition who knew he was coming. He's an underrated receiver. He's a good blocker, and he's got a lot of miles on the clock. Yeah, I think he's well under the radar here. Then you've got Mario Anderson Jr., another JUCO upstart. So 3 years at Newberry College in the JUCO leagues, 3,301 rushing yards and 35 touchdowns. Then he went all the way up to the SEC with South Carolina. In one season, he had 707 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. He was their leading rusher that season. And yet he hit the portal and dropped to the group of five with Memphis. But this year, maybe it was a great decision. 1,362 rushing yards, 18 touchdowns, 5.8 yards per carry. He's got 312 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns as well. And you will be hard pressed, even among the bigger names in this class, to find a guy who runs tougher. I've watched his tape. It frequently takes 2, 3, 4 guys to bring him down, and he relentlessly keeps chugging forward for extra yardage while they're trying. And he's not fumbled in the last 2 years. His ball security is immaculate. He's built quite hench. You look at him, but he's nifty. And as soon as he sees the green grass, good luck against him one-on-one. He'll beat you, and he's gone. He maybe lacks the elite breakneck speed to make those into house calls, but these guys who work their way up from JUCO, up from the bottom to the top, they're worth watching because they've shown they can adapt to a new level of competition. You've got Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, 2,440 rushing yards, 29 touchdowns, only fumbled 4 times in his career. 313 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, so not really a receiver. He doesn't do special teams that much either. This is a guy who probably has the sweetest footwork, maybe of any running back in this draft. you watch him in small confined spaces, he can switch on a dime, and he's got the elite short burst to pair with it. He scored a touchdown against Texas A&M last year where he left about three of their linebackers dead on one run and went for a touchdown. That was back when he was in New Mexico as well. So he had a 1,200 yard season last year at New Mexico. It was nothing short of sensational, one of the best years a New Mexico running back has ever had. But he made a really big error this year. So it was an eligibility error. It's cost him his entire 2024 season. He's not played. So he started off at Alabama State. And according to him, he switched numbers with his teammate halfway through the year. And that number, the shirt he was wearing, played 9 games. He only played four, which is enough to redshirt, but they can't prove that he didn't play in any of the other games. So they've not allowed him to use it as a red shirt. So basically, he came back and he was ineligible too. So he's been sat. But again, he's been through the HBCUs, he's been through the group of five. Like to do well at New Mexico, you've got to have innate talent there. So he is another really intriguing prospect. You've got Penny Boone from Toledo, and the show is named after him because he's met with the Detroit Lions already. They're showing interest in him. He is from Detroit. He's a native Detroiter, but they've still met with him at the Hula Bowl. 2,305 rushing yards, 22 touchdowns, fumbled it 9 times, average of 5.7 yards per carry over his career, 330 receiving yards, one touchdown again, mainly a running back, and next to no special teams work either. He's a 5 year guy. He's had the one season wonder at Toledo in 2023. He had 1,400 yards and 15 touchdowns, but he messed up this offseason big time. He committed to Louisville. Then he decommitted. Apparently, his agent was pushing for more money in the NIL market. He ended up at UCF and he got buried on the depth chart behind RJ Harvey, and he didn't see any action after week 6. I can't find any injury info on him either, so I think he just didn't play. Um, but again, another hard, tough rusher. But yeah, he's had the 1 year, and that's really been it. You've got Quinton Cooley. He's the diminutive 5'8" man, but he is small. But it makes him a nightmare to try and tackle. He's a high IQ player. In his 2 years at Liberty, because he started at Wake, 2,700 rushing yards, 6.3 yards per carry, 29 touchdowns, just 4 fumbles. He's not a receiver at all. He doesn't work special teams either. But he's one of the cleverest running backs you'll see here. He knows exactly how to attack his run. He sits, he surveys, he makes his decision, he goes. He's incredibly tough. Again, very hard to bring down. He's been playing CUSA competition. He doesn't have the explosive athleticism and the high-end speed that you kind of want from these guys. And the NFL's moving away from guys like him, but his work rate alone should tempt teams in there. But as I say, the CUSA level of competition might put some off. And then you got Derek Powell. So he's the FCS guy. He's 5'9". He's 180. 4,000 rushing yards, 38 touchdowns, 7.2 yards per carry. He's got 800 yards as a receiver and 4 touchdowns. He works the return teams on special teams as well. Guy is very intriguing, highly athletic, makes him very elusive as a smaller but well-built, shifty running back. He's coming off 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons working on multiple teams. I've watched an interview with him. His head's really on straight. He turned down big FBS offers after he had a massive year at North Alabama in his second year. He chose to come closer to home and stay in the FCS to be with his newborn son instead of going distance away from him and potentially giving himself a bigger career to work on. So I kind of really admire that about him. But he's continually improved as a blocker. He's coming off by far his best season protecting his quarterback. So the pass protection's there. He's going to need to show it against higher quality opposition. But he's got consistent production over 3 years. And all his aspects, all his games, all his grades have improved year by year. So he's actually very intriguing. Short, shifty, strong. I mean, Ryan, this is potentially a really good class. Some of these guys, Krosky Merritt, Boone, bad life choices have maybe put them here, but then you've got smaller guys like Cooley and Bernard who are Mario Anderson, sorry, who've worked their way up the hard way. I know this is a loaded running back class, but this feels like a group here where you could find someone. You're probably going to get them very cheap, but there's a lot of hidden potential here.
Yeah. And as you say, we've seen in recent years that the NFL is going away from big guys. So if you look at some of the smallest players in the league this year, you've got Devin Singletary, you've got Jarrett Patterson, you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like I say, you've got three running backs, like I say, that are all had seen starting player, all under 5'8". There's a place, and you've got Juice Vaughn. Like I say, that's four of the 10 smallest players in the league right now, all running backs, all of them see carries. I think the smaller guy now is finding more of a niche. If you go back years ago, like say late 90s, early 2000s, everyone wanted the big guy. Everyone wanted the guy that was 6 foot, 6 foot one, 200, 210 pounds. Didn't have to be that athletic, would run like Adrian Peterson. Like I say, they invited contact. They would run through contact. Like say your Arian Fosters or your Frank Gores. Times have changed. Like I say, guys like Quinton Cunningham, like I say, with their short stature but their big tree trunk legs, some kind of covet that. And like I say, his son's very interesting. Like I say, because back-to-back years of like say like 13, 14 plus 1500 plus scrimmage yards, like I say, on a program that has made the jump up to FBS in recent years and been incredibly successful. And the last 2 years, obviously with Salter, but it goes through him. And he's the reason, like I said, they've been so relevant because he's such a consistent rusher because the yard per carry is so good. And then you've also got to look at, like, say, the FCS guy, Derek Powell. Right now, there's a couple of FCS guys, like, say, making plays for NFL teams. My first thought is Dylan Laub from Monmouth, who went exact same path last year, playing an All-Star game. He got to the combine, did really well, worked on a practice squad, got activated for some games this year. He's going to be a guy that's going to follow that same kind of big production. Didn't go to the FBS, rode out college in the FCS, get to the game. Really, for him, like you said, the week of this is he wants a combine invite because you get the combine invite and you get to the measurables, you get the whole buzz of the week, meet the GMs. You just like saying you get the interviews, get to talk more people and tell your story. That will do him the world of good. So that for him, like that's his goal probably is to get another invite, like say get workouts. And then we've got the other guys in the other end of the scale, like say Penny Boone, big guy, upright rusher, the old school, like I say, don't have the jump cuts, doesn't have the electric speed, gets the ball in a stance, takes it, makes a cut, runs upright, drag resistance, but he's tough. Like I say, bad decision. Like I say, it went on a Knights team that one was bad and two had one of the best rushers in the country, so he was picking up scraps like a junkyard dog. And we're at Toledo, he was the big dog. Like I say, he should have either stayed there. I know the Rockets weren't great this year, but probably if he'd have had another year as a starter, we'd probably have a bit more momentum going into the draft. So the whole group in general, like I say, Micah Bernard, probably the biggest name of the group. Like I said, because the school he's come from, the Utah Utes, and he's a big body, he's a bruiser. He is a guy that if you try to arm tackle him, he'll run right through you. Like he says, incredibly muscular, well built. And Utah is not a school that's known for rushers. I can't name many recent Utah running backs. And a lot of them, like I say, I don't think have made a big impact in recent years at the pro level. So for him, pretty good. It's been tough sledding for Utah in recent years. Like I said, not things haven't been great. Like I said, they've been reeling a little bit, but he's done really well. So this group is a lot more diverse than the QBs, body types, runners, levels of experience. Very interesting. And because, like I say, three of a team, they're going to see a lot more work. I'm with you though. The one that separates a good running back to a great running back is how well can you block. Anyone go watch the Minnesota game with Detroit and see how many times Gibbs and Reynolds had to pick up the blitz. Honestly, they were phenomenal. They were smashing guys that were coming on the blitz. And like I say, half the reason Goff stayed clean. If you can't do that at the next level, you won't make it. You've got to be able to defend your quarterback. So that's the first drill they'll probably put them through against the linebackers and the safeties and D line. Pick up the blitz. They're going to come at you, and can you hold your ground? Especially a guy like Quentin Cooler at 5'7". Like I say, can you get a guy that's like 6 foot 2.5, 225? Can you keep him upright? That'll be a bit difference between him not making it and landing on a practice squad. So yeah, the drills for the running backs are really big. It don't matter how well you can run the ball. We know you can run the ball. Can you catch? Can you block?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing Krosky Merritt. I don't know what's gone on there. I don't know why they'd allow him to go back if there was an eligibility issue, but
It is
you know,
very weird
it's
though to swap numbers mid-season. They must have thought, didn't they think that that would cause a huge issue?
I don't know, but that was back in his days at Alabama State, so I
Yeah.
don't think it was as well recorded then and documented that they can prove that it wasn't him
Can't go
playing.
back and
But
prove it wasn't him wearing his old
no,
number.
but like his season at New Mexico,
Don't help
honestly,
though,
I
a
want to
lot of
say his
FCS teams don't have
feet.
names on the backs of their jerseys, so
No,
they just wear a number.
no.
So anyone could wear the number.
Yeah, but honestly, like watching him, his feet are just so quick. Like it just his ability to just change direction and be gone is like there's few running backs in this draft who can act like him. And
Remember
certainly
rightly,
year
the
out.
running backs in like the Senior Bowl, the Hula Bowl, like I say, all the Western Shrine, probably did the best. For me,
Hmm.
running backs always shine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's your opportunity to show that you've not lost gas here as well. And for the FCS prospect, then you're kind of hoping he can show it and get an invite, as you say, to a bigger stage. But I've listened to him. He seems really, really focused and he seems like he's got really level head. So I think he's got a chance there. Shunderic Powell from the Central Arkansas Bears. Right, let's move it on to the wide receivers now. There's quite a few guys in here. So I'll just in fact, I've got the list here of where they are. So we've got Kelly Ackeret. He's from the Mississippi State Bulldogs. He's an outside receiver. You've got Elijah Badger from the Florida Gators. He's also outside wide receiver. You've got Chandler Brayboy from the Elon Phoenix, the second Elon player in here. He is a hybrid. He's 60-40 split as an outside guy, so he can do both. We got Efton Chisholm the third. He's the slot receiver from the Eastern Washington Eagles. We got Kamari Dyke from Florida. He is a complete hybrid. He is literally 50-50 in his career. I think it's like 51% to 49%. So he's as big a hybrid a receiver as you're going to find. Got Luke Florea. He's the slot receiver from the Kent State Golden Flashes. Got Xavier Henderson. He's the outside receiver from the Cincinnati Bearcats. Got Gage Larvadane, he's another hybrid receiver. He is from South Carolina Gamecocks. We've got Darius Lassiter. He's a hybrid receiver. Yeah, he's 70-30 as an outside receiver. He's very similar to another BYU receiver. I'll talk about him in a minute. He's 6'3", 210. We got Cade McDonald from the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. He's a slot receiver. Oh, we got Jordan Moore, who's the outside receiver from the Duke Blue Devils. We've got Nick Nash. He's a hybrid receiver, although he went completely slot this year, and which was his best career by far. So maybe easier to say he's a slot receiver now from the San Jose State the Spartans, San Jose State. It is Spartans. Why am I
Yeah.
questioning myself? Jerwan Newton, he's the outside receiver from the Toledo Rockets. We got Jamal Pritchett, he's the hybrid receiver from South Alabama. We got Rock Taylor. He's the outside receiver from Memphis. As we mentioned, Seth Hennigan had a friend. He is that friend. And then we got Winston Wright Jr. He's the slot receiver from the East Carolina Pirates. Quite a few names on the board here, but we talked about him last week, right? There is a sensation from Eastern Washington in the NFL right now who's maybe a little bit of an undersized slotty receiver guy who guys thought he had a little bit of a ceiling on him. He's turned out pretty good in there, Cooper Cup. And then now we have Efton Chisholm the third following out that system. He's 5'11", 200 pounds, and boy oh boy, in just about every discipline of this game, he is a stud. He's coming off a 1,400 yard year where he's just gone crazy. He's been a lifelong Eagle as well. He's never left, never felt the need to decommit and go to a bigger calling. He stayed loyal through everything. What do we make maybe of Efton Chisholm the third's chances there? He is a slot receiver. He's very good as a slot receiver. Do you know he's got a cracking 80% reception completion rating to him? That's not just like that's balls that are thrown in his direction. That's not just his catches. That's if you throw some, because a lot of receivers can get a lot of bad balls thrown at them and it shows against them. Like 80% of the passes sent in his direction are caught. Potential FCS stood on our hands here.
Yeah, I love him. I've seen him for years. Like I say, he's a yak king. Like you say, a lot of this stuff he catches is short to intermediate, and yeah, make stuff happen. You can always can get deep threat, but like you say, works out of the slot. He's very much a guy where he's a security blanket. He gets force-fed targets all game, gets the ball in his hands with supreme route running, intermediate shot, in and out breaking routes are probably where he does best, and then looks to turn upfield. And despite, like say, being a fair bit smaller, slender than Cooper Cup, he's just as physical. He will take contact. He will brace himself for contact. He hangs on to nearly everything that comes his way. He's going to be, yeah, can block, willing blocker. Would obviously have to improve on that. But like you say, he's someone that is going to be someone you can have on the field all the time. Like you say, screens, bubble screens, tunnel screens. Also, probably give him some rushing plays. I think at the next level, the way he gets on the field is he'll have to return kicks or punts. Really, first of all, like I said, I know he's a good receiver, but special teams is where he'll earn his calling first. I believe he's got all the talents because one, he's shot, he's small, he's nifty. Like you say, he's got good hands, and he can break on a hole when he sees it. So I imagine, like I say, he will be someone's potential primary kick returner. But yeah, he has got, like I say, a huge body of work, some questionable opposition. Obviously, that'll be the first thing they say against him. Like you've spent your whole time at a moderate FCS school and come up against some of them. So yeah, but like I say, you can't deny that whoever he's gone up against, like you say, he's been able to absolutely dominate teams. Like I say, he's been able to have some massive games and just rip off big explosive plays constantly as a quarterback's best friend.
Yeah, he's 3,840 receiving yards and 37 touchdowns over his career. 11 yards per catch as well, so the decent there for a guy in his position. And you would hope with one Jalen Coker, like, been an absolute stud for Carolina this year, that people are going to give these FCS receivers the time of day now, because it doesn't matter. If you're good enough, you're good enough. And Jalen Coker's certainly good enough. Like, the Panthers fans want him over their actual draft picks.
Yeah, like I say, there's some big small school receivers coming out this year, whether they're at this game or not. But some of them are going to get some massive attention. Like I say, they produce some of the best receiving talent in the country is all playing at the FCS level. And the only reason they don't get recruited is because some of them, like I said, don't hit the transfer portal because they're from these places. All these guys walk on, don't get scholarships, and by the time they get a scholarship, they just ride it out. Or it's the team they grew up supporting, and they decline all their offers where they might be like say a red shirt walk on, they'll get a scholarship here. Like I say, they'll stay at a small school and they'll see it all the way through. And yeah, it's a famous school. Everyone knows the red turf, and obviously he saw the likes of probably Cooper Cup make it next level. That's someone for him to look up to. And obviously being a similar size slot white kid, often the lazy comparison will be he's going to be the next Cooper Cup. And I always like to say, might play a similar game style. To him, that's probably a massive compliment. And I bet
Yeah.
he probably looks up to him quite a lot. But yeah, this is a guy that has got a good chance, like you say, of being someone's returner or, like you say, activated, like you say, at least stashed on a practice squad and will get on at last at least a season on a roster.
Odds that the Rams take another shot at him again. Because they know what kind of, when you get used to a school like we do with Bama, like when you start trusting a school and its coaching, do you reckon there's a chance the Rams might be his final destination, Efton
Well,
Chisholm?
he fit their offense. Like you say, it's
Mm.
an explosive offense that wants to go downfield, big chunk plays. Like I say, it's someone I think they might look at.
Yeah, yeah, I think you would. You mentioned FCS receivers. There's one other in this class. So you've got Chandler Brayboy from Elon, just to give you a bit of a down low on him. So he's a hybrid receiver, 60-40 split as an outside guy. He's got 2,620 receiving yards, 19 touchdowns, averages 16.3 yards per catch. This man is a deep threat guy. So he's a 6-year Elon player. So another FCS guy, loyal his entire career. He's coming off his best year, 979 yards and 8 touchdowns. One of the most explosive kick returners in the nation, 1,418 return yards in his career at an average of 29 per return, and he's housed two of his returns. Multi-level weapon. He's been used as the big play explosive guy for Elon. Screams core special teamer who you can secretly develop into a situational weapon in the NFL. But this Chandler Brayboy, he is a name to keep an eye on as well. These are two guys coming up from the FCS who, again, I see returner. This is your way into the roster, but that Elon team produced some talent this year. There's a couple of guys here. There's a couple going to the Senior Bowl as well. So you've got that in terms of if other guys in here. So we've got some NFL lineage in here as well. So Darius Lassiter. Now he's not related to the Lassiter you think. So he is related to the Bengal safety Kwame Lassiter II, not Kamari Lassiter. However, he's had a really interesting career as well, and this is BYU receivers, and I don't like to do victory laps, but told you all about Puka really early before anyone listened to him. So he started down in JUCO with Butler Community College. He earned his way into the FBS. He had a stop on the crate train in Eastern Michigan before finally getting his move to Provo to BYU for the last 2 years. You know what BYU wide receivers are. He is nigh on an elite run blocker, which again, you should expect from this school. That is what they do. He's a three-level threat who he's continually taken steps forward. He stepped up to this new level of challenge, like I say, JUCO to Group of Five to Power Five. 1,586 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns, 14 yards per catch. The numbers don't scream out there, but it's been a slow burn for Darius Lassiter, right? But these BYU receivers, they're more than just people who catch the ball. They add a lot more to the game. He's coming from family lineage as well. Like I've watched Darius Lassiter, and I'm not getting Puka vibes. That would be a lazy thing to say, but as a guy who's going to work his way onto a roster as a blocker and special teams and potentially go further, like Darius, I think he's got a good chance here. I'm looking forward to seeing him play.
Yeah, I've seen loads of him this year because I've watched so much Big 12 football, and yeah, nothing like Puka. Like I say, because he's not physically dominating. He's 6'3", but he's very slender. Like I say, he's quite a skinny guy, but he's very much a get the ball in the hands and then let me hit some spin moves, hit some jukes. He's very agile, a hurdle. He's someone that he's been very productive this year. I very much enjoyed watching him. Like I say, and Retzlaff, the BYU QB, never had a cannon. There weren't those big shots because they didn't have that wasn't their offense. Like I say, it was very much a motion, a lot of moving at line of scrimmage. Retzlaff very much throwing on the run. So you'd be expected in this offense too. Like I say, if he goes and breaks out, or he's getting to line of scrimmage, you've got to have that IQ to when he's got to come back for the ball. So a lot is like I say, is having IQ where the play is breaking down. Lassett is able to find the soft spot, makes himself available. He turns as well and faces the quarterback, shows the hands, lets him know he's free. And then, like I say, there was a game-winning touchdown this year, like I say, where it was like a couple of seconds left, and they had a game-winning drive. Like I say, gets the ball in his hands, he catches it. Like I say, breaks one tackle. Like I say, another guy just dives. Like I say, it's like catching smoke. And like I say, they try to wrap him up, and he wriggles out of it, and he scoots over the end zone, and it was enough to win the game for him. Like I say, the three guys had a shot at him, and none of them could bring him down. He's very comfortable out in space and quite difficult to bring down. So yeah, he's not the fastest, not the most athletic. He lacks muscle. I would say the frame needs work, but like I say, he'll clock in like 6'2", 6'2.5". Good hands, a decent route tree. Like you say, and he's a physical hard worker that has got a lot of time. Like you say, so yeah, he could be a pretty good wide receiver three at the next level. That'd be no discredit to him. He's one of the guys that we've spoken about today that probably should get drafted off
Yeah.
of body work and a big school. And I'd say, yeah, a lineage and a school that has kind of now got a bit of reputation for producing good, like day two, day three NFL talent.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. Obviously, quite a few receivers. Anyone else who's piquing your interest in this receiver class? I know Hennigan's got a mate. There's a former
Yeah,
Sun Devil in there. Who else do you want to? Yeah, floor's yours.
Rock Taylor. Like I said, this guy is muscle. This guy's like 6'3", nearly 100 kilos. He's a big, strong dude that's well put together. He's going to try and run a 4.55, 4.6, which for his size, I'd like to see him do that. If he under 100 kilo and 6'3", if he runs that, very good. Last 2 years, 130 passes, just about 2,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. Like I say, he has been super impressive. Like I say, Memphis offense that been a juggernaut. He has been like the go-to guy for Seth Hennigan. Those two are just on the same wavelength. He's physical. He can outmuscle guys. The contested catches. He's got good, nice long frame. Very physical. Doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. Doesn't do big stuff in the red zone, but he very much can work on the outside. So between, like I say, the outside man and the first down marker, he understands where the sideline is. And a lot of guys don't do that. A lot of the catches he can make at the sideline, they'd be good on Sundays, where most guys are just used to one tap, good on a Saturday. They got to get in the habit of getting both feet in bounds. ROTL knows how to do that. Like I say, he's very good. And like I say, he's strong at line of scrimmage. Like I say, he's a big man. You want to jam him or if you want to give him a press cuff run. Like I say, I like him at combine. I think he tests really well. But yeah, I think he's one of the more prominent guys in this group. Like I say, that also 4 years, but a good G5 score and an offense that has routinely been top 20, top 30 instead of Higgins' time. Like I say, quite well rounded. So he's someone that's got those explosive players in him if he wants them.
Absolutely. Rock Taylor is a name to watch out for in the Hula Bowl in the wide receiver class. Just to quickly deviate, Brent DeWitt is in the building. Glad to see you in here, Brent, and happy birthday for the other day. Unapologetically, one of our most fervent followers on here, and we appreciate you ever so much, Brent. So hope you had a great
Happy birthday,
day.
Brent.
Yeah, I hope you had a wonderful one. I hope you're doing all right over there. Hope no one's getting caught up on this snow that's been over there, which is looked absolute. Well, looks great, but there's a ton of it. So I hope you're all staying safe. Right. In terms of other wide receivers in here, the one I've really got my eye on, and I'm really intrigued. So Kelly Ackeret. So he's the outside receiver from Miss State. So he's another one. A lot of these kids started out in JUCO. So he started off at Tyler Junior College. He started off right down in JUCO. He didn't go down there. That's where he started. Impressed as a redshirt freshman there. He got a move to UTEP to the minors, and he busted out a 1,000 yard season as a junior. He was fifth in the entire FBS in yards per catch. This showed his deep threat ability on the outside. Gavin Hardison loved to throw it down the sidelines to him. He went out, made some very impressive catches. He got the transfer to Miss State on the back of that. Now, on the look of it, you look at this year, he's got 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's average production and something that no one's going to look twice at. But he's been very active as a run blocker. He's very good as a run blocker. He had to do a lot of dirty work in college. UTEP with the minors, you've got to block a lot there as well. And at Miss State, he's got a lot of plays out there. He's got about 400 snaps out there, and he's done a lot of run blocking for them, even though they've not been great. And it's not been the greatest place for him to showcase his ability. But again, I like the guys who work their way up the tree. He's got very good hands. I like his routes. I like the way he's very competitive on the outside. And again, I think he's very much going to be overlooked because people are just going to look at the numbers. But 18.1 yards per catch over his career. Like, that's deep threat ability there. But he's not just a speed guy as well. He's got the finesse to go with it. And he was just put in a very bad situation last year. So I'm going to look forward to seeing him this weekend. Kelly Ackeret from Miss State.
The dark horse for me is Winston Wright. All 5'8" of Winston Wright. He is tiny. Like I say, had 3 years at West Virginia. To in 2021, a long time ago, he caught 63 passes at just at 5'8". And like I said, then a year at FSU, didn't do anything. This year at East Carolina, they had a really good end to the season. It was very good. But the thing is the most impressive, 2,000 kickoff yards. One of the best returners in the entire country. Like I say, if this guy is going to if anyone's going to make a path in the NFL, like I say, like Kevontae Turpin did on special teams, it might be Winston Wright Jr. Like I say, he is, like I say, he's a rocket. Like I say, he's going to be really difficult on special teams in general. Punts, kickoffs. Like I say, if you miss him or if he hits the hole, because like I say, he's got that lightning twitch, he's going to be gone. So you have to be really careful with him.
Yeah, absolutely. You holding out any hopes for Elijah Badger? He's a former Sun Devil, so his last three seasons he's averaged between 700 and 900 yards. It's not expected. He's kind of like Julian Edelman in a way,
Not
although
bad
he's an
though. For
outside
the level
version
of
of him,
quarterback players had to put up with, he's done pretty good.
and not a single drop this year. Not one drop.
Yep.
Like
He's
that's
very
good
reliable,
hands.
like you say. Slot guy, like you say, yeah. 6'1", 200, good hands. He's had to catch passes from Jaden Rashada, Trenton Bourget, DJ Lagway, Graham Mertz. Honestly, it's not great, like you say. But Ricky Pearsall had to catch. Actually, every quarterback that threw a ball to Elijah Badger threw a ball to Ricky Pearsall because they were teammates for I think maybe 2 years, and they went for the exact same path. I say, don't get me wrong, he's not as athletic. Like you say, he's very much primarily a slot guy, like you say, average build. But yeah, when a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, got a decent chance of being drafted. Like you say, had a pretty good year the last 2 years. The move for him worked out pretty well.
Yeah, indeed. In terms of the other guys we're not mentioned, so Kamiri Dyke, he's the Florida guy. He's a complete hybrid, 50-50 in his career, 2,261 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns, over 16 yards per catch, so he's a deep threat guy. You've got Luke Flourier, he's the slot receiver from Kent State, 1,327 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns, nearly 14 yards per catch. Actually, he's I liked him. He's a good receiver who's been buried on one of the worst teams in the FBS. They didn't win a game last year, not due to him. You got Xavier Henderson, the outside receiver from Cincinnati, 2,331 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns, 12 and a half yards per catch. Gage Larvadain from South Carolina, he's a hybrid as well. 2,000 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns, about 14 yards per catch as well. Cade McDonald, the Miami of Ohio slot receiver, just over 1,000 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. He's been a bit part player for them for a long time. Jordan Moore's the other one I'm quite excited by. I've watched a lot of him with Duke. He's the outside receiver. 2,400 receiving yards, 21 touchdowns, 13.3 yards per carry, and he's bulky. He's a big man on the outside. I need to watch him a bit more. Nick Nash, the San Jose State sensation who maybe should have won a Biletnikoff this year. Um, Only 2,200 receiving yards and 25 touchdowns in his career, and over half of that production, probably three-quarters of that production, came this year. So yeah, Juwan Newton from Toledo, 3,000 receiving yards and 32 touchdowns in his time with the Rockets. He's been a big influence there. Jamal Pritchett from South Alabama, he's had 2,100 with 18 touchdowns, 14 yards per carry. And Winston Wright, as you mentioned, 2,000 receiving yards, just as many return yards, 15 touchdowns, 10.4 yards per carry. So I don't know about you. I'm low key looking forward to seeing some of these receivers. Again, I think there's a lot of hidden talent here, which is what the Hula Bowl's about.
A lot of guys, like I said, there's a lot of guys here that saw very little action at every school they were at. Some of these guys have very little tape or very little stats. So this is going to be some of their first real time against big level opposition. So like I say, there's a lot of FCS guys, and there's a lot of guys there, like I say, one year or another, just didn't see the field.
No.
And they're complete wild cards. Like I say, that's probably why the Hula Bowl picked them. Because
Yeah.
they probably spoke to their coach and said, I couldn't get him in my offense. Like I say, he came in, yeah, it just didn't work, but ultra talented. So these kind of guys, these are the, like I said, the All-Star games, they're always very different, like I say, because the quarterbacks, you get 4 or 5 quarterbacks playing. Usually the wide receivers really struggle with rotation to get any yards, get any film. For them, it's all about drills, the
Yeah.
one-on-ones against, like say, a safety or a cornerback. That's
Yeah.
where they will lose or they will win. If they
Yeah.
can win the drills, don't matter about the game because no one's watching it. They're
No.
watching the practice. I say, can you block? I say, can you beat a cornerback in one-on-one reps where a lot of them are like it'll be press coverage. So yeah, that's where they'll make their money. So the smaller guys, that's where they got to prove their toughness against the big DBs.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move it on to the tight ends, and boy, these were harder to track down, some of these. So we've got Tyler Neville from Virginia. He's 6'3", 248 pounds. We've got Carter Runyon from the Towson Tigers, another FCS guy, 6'6", 235 pounds. We've got Joshua Simon from the South Carolina Gamecocks. He's 6'4", 259 pounds. Cole Taylor from the West Virginia Cavaliers. He's 6'6", 255 pounds. We've got Jermaine Terry, the second from Oregon State. He's 6'4", 245. Anthony Torres from Toledo. He's 6'6", 250. Steve Klotz from Iowa State. He's 6'4", 260 pounds. And then Kaliki Latu has been a late addition to this from Washington, 6'7", 244 pounds. And yes, he is from that Latu family. He is Leatu's younger brother. Just to give a little bit of background on some of these guys. So Tyler Neville of Virginia. Um, he's a 3-year guy from Harvard. So he's an Ivy League guy. FCS transfer, had just the 1 year at Virginia. 1,100 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns, so he's decent as a receiver. He's graded through his career in the mid 60s as a run blocker. I'm not accustomed to Harvard football. I don't know whether they run a lot, but it seems to be
I
fine.
think so,
He's
yeah.
Yeah, I will bow to you for that. But yeah, his run blocking grade's pretty good. He's a kick returner as well, which is rare for a tight end and vastly experienced on special teams. So that's Tyler Neville. Carter Runyon. His career, wow, this one's even more out there. So 2 years at Shenandoah, and now that is a Division 3 side. That is right at the very bottom there. Managed to work his way up for another 2 years at Towson with the Tigers. Another one just shy of 1,100 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. That's while he was at Towson. You try finding Shenandoah stats on the internet, it is bloody difficult. At 12 yards per catch, so decent range for a tight end as well. His run blocking grade's at 60 as well. That was up significantly from year one, so an adjustment to the level of opposition. But again, he's a big dude at 6'6", but little light, 235. Really big special teamer, and he was the first ever Division 1 All-American tight end in Towson's history. Little bit about him there. Joshua Simon, he spent 4 years at Western Kentucky, spent the last two at South Carolina. Nearly 2,000 receiving yards, maybe not given the systems they play, surprising. 25 touchdowns, 12 and a half yards per catch. His run blocking grade's also hovering around 60 for his career. He's quite a good pass blocker as well, but when you're in the air raid, you have to be. Cole Taylor, my dude from West Virginia. 6'6", 255 pounds, big man. 3 years at LSU, then the last two with the Cavs. 1,000 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns, 11 yards per catch. Really good run blocker. Clayton Donaldson's been as good as he has over the last few years because of guys like him mauling downfield. He's a subpar pass protector, but he's quite a tall guy, and usually that is a problem with some of these taller tight ends. Very experienced special teamer as well. Jermaine Terry, the Oregon State tight end, yeah, he's just bad. 2 years at Cal, two at Oregon State. Got less than 500 receiving yards in his career. His run blocking grade's never been above 48 in his career. The pass protection's all right. Got a high level of special teams there, but yeah, not much going. Anthony Torres, the Toledo tight end, 2 years at Western Michigan, three at Toledo. Again, just over 1,000 receiving yards. A lot of these guys just in that territory. 12 touchdowns, 15 yards per catch. So actually using quite far downfield. Average as a run and a pass blocker. Again, good special teams. Steve Klotz, who I really like. The Iowa State Cyclone. He is a pure blocking tight end. If you are looking for a pure blocking tight end in this draft, he's your man. He's very high level at both. You've seen how good this Iowa State team was this year. He's played a ton of special teams as well. Like he's got a lot to prove as a receiver, but man, you will not find a better blocking tight end out of any of these guys. He's great. And then Kaliki Latu. Liatu's brother, spent 2 years at Cal, one at Nevada, and one at Washington. He's had a path. 805 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, 11 yards per catch. Uh, His year with the Huskies this year, he has been a high-level run blocker. Although I don't remember the Huskies been good running the ball this year. He's been steady in his pass pro. He works special teams as well, so that is quite good. But this is one of the more unknown groups in here, Ryan. But there's some potential in here. Some big guys, a lot of mass about them, some decent receivers, and then we've got some really good blockers as well. This is where the real dark, diamonds in the rough might come from.
Yeah, like I say, there's a vast type of. A lot of these guys have been in different schemes, and a lot of these guys can't change. Like Steve O'Klotz, he will never. Good chance he'll never get thrown out in the NFL. I think he's going to be a fullback or a H-back. Like I say, he's going to be a guy, like say, that teams that, like say, just keep their tight ends and tuck them on the end of the line and want to run block. That's where he'll do best. Like I say, not that big, not very athletic. The hands aren't there. Might get the odd check down, but yeah, probably could be a great Mercedes Lewis. Played what 20 years in the league, very few catches. Like I say, a blocker. Like I say, and for a lot of teams that works. Whereas on Joshua Simon, the other side, pretty much all pass catcher. Had a big ball game, had a stack of yards and catches. Like you say, he's another guy, like you say, he'll line up in the slot and go out wide. He's not a traditional on the end of a line tight end. Basically an Isaiah Likely, a big receiver. So that is also another guy where probably don't draft him as a blocker. Like I say, he's going to be someone that you want running concept routes. So someone that, like you say, will block, but you want him to kind of fake and then release out. Like I say, then you've got the hybrids. Like you say, you've got your Cole Torres, you've got your Neville's, your Runyons. The big guys, like you say, where you want them to be able to block and also able to, especially in the red zone, be good. Like I say, some of these guys that say very little experience in doing both. They've primarily either done one or the other. That'll depend on entirely what school they're at. And like I say, yeah, Kalatu, absolutely massive. Someone that you're probably going to bring on when you get in the red zone. Like I say, someone like say it's just really tall, put one up to him. Like I say, leverage will be a problem for him. So tall, tight ends that are that tall usually blocking can be an absolute nightmare for them. But their body type just makes them unique. So yeah, this is a group where I know very little about a lot of them. Like I say, and I imagine the people that have invited them probably know naught about them either. Or somebody, they won't even know what school they've ever come from. Which means, but tight end player right now in the NFL is that big and it's such a prominent position that a lot of guys will keep a lot of tight ends on the roster.
I was about to say, point for anyone who knows where Shenandoah is on a map, because I have no idea. But I'm going to see Carter Runyon. Like, I remember last year's draft. You remember there was that really intriguing sort of crop of FCS tight ends last year, and I can remember there was the really tall one who got cropped just before the bowl games, whose name I keep forgetting. But like, there's some potential in there. But he's gone from Division 3 to FCS. Like Carter Runyon, I'm interested. Like big guy, but this is going to be a massive step up for him. So tight end room, it's a complete anomaly at this moment in time. So we will
I mean, we
see
could say that
with
about a
that.
lot of the both trenches as well. A lot of guys
Uh,
a lot of these guys you just do not see because they never have their name called.
no. So we're going to move into the trenches now. So we're going to move to the offensive line and specifically the centers because I know, especially amongst Lions fans, like people do want a center
We need to
eventually.
think about center here.
And they're asking about scent as well. So in this one, we've got five. I mean, some of these guys are positionally, but there's five here we've got. So we've got Eli Cox from the Kentucky Wildcats. He is 6'4", 309 pounds. We've got Jacob Gideon from the Western Michigan Broncos. He's 6'2", 295. We've got Jared Hufford from the Iowa State Cyclones. He's 6'4", 320. Brandon Yates from West Virginia. He's 6'4", 310. And then we've got Dylan Poirier from the New Hampshire Wildcats, another FCS guy. He's 6'4", 304 pounds. So just to go through these guys a bit. Cox, oh, don't know what happened there. He's a 6-year Kentucky guy, career Wildcat, 2,184 snaps at center, 740 at left guard. He's given up 9 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, and 48 quarterback hurries through his career. However, didn't give up a single sack this year in the SEC. He's an average run blocker. Slightly above average pass protector as well, but his grades went up big time this year. He had one of his best years so far. Jacob Gideon at Western Michigan. So he's had 2,300 snaps at center, 720 at left guard, 137 at right guard. He's given up 11 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, but just 14 quarterback hits. So over his career, he's given up 33.
51 games as well.
Yeah, 33 pressures in 51 games. That's it. He is a high level run blocker and a pass protector. Need to take an eye on this guy a little bit more. We've got Jared Hufford. He's been a 5 year Iowa State guy and he's been all over. 1,562 snaps at left guard, 984 at center, 552 at left tackle, 183 at right guard. He's given up just 4 sacks, 7 QB hits over his career, and 41 total QB pressures. He's an above average pass protector. He's a steady run blocker, but he's moved all over the line. The first year was at center. This year, he gave up just 1 sack and 11 quarterback hurries. That was it on what was a really good Cyclones team. And then Brandon Yates from West Virginia, he's even more versatile. So 5 year Cavalier, 1,607 snaps at left tackle, 957 at center, 501 at right guard, 341 at right tackle, 219 at left guard. He's literally played all 5 spots. He's given up 12 sacks, 25 quarterback hits, and 61 QB hurries over his time there, but over half of those were in his first 2 years. And again, the dude's moved all over. He was the left tackle until Wyatt Millum showed up, and Wyatt Millum's going in this draft really high. Again, first year center, great grades in both disciplines, but he's highly versatile as well. And then we've got Dylan Poirier, the New Hampshire center. He spent 4 years there, 918 snaps at right tackle, 837 at center, 792 at left tackle. He's literally spent 1 season at each position. His most recent was also center. 8 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, and 35 QB hurries given up. This guy is an elite level pass protector over the last couple of years, and his run blocking has steadily improved as well. And again, that's moving from right tackle to left tackle to center. So, I mean, these are not household names and draft names, Ryan, but these are the guys that some of them are just incredibly versatile, and some of their numbers, considering when you move over the line and it's your muscle memory, you're having to learn a new position, new scheme, it just everything changes. There's potentially some really good versatile options up here for the draft coming.
Yeah, like I say, a lot of drafts have a lot of guys where like, oh, are they a guard, are they a center? Like you say, finding a true center is usually pretty hard. But like I say, when you narrow it down, like you say, like look at like Eli Cox, 56 games, majority of them at center. Like I say, 47 different starts, 38 games in a row, consecutive start was his longest trip, like you say. And he's like I say, he's been in all second and third all SEC teams. So this is a guy, like you say, that has been just a consistent linchpin for the Kentucky Wildcats offense and for has played nearly the entire time he's been there and also has been nominated, like I say, for captain. So, like I say, two-time captain. So out of 5 years, like I say, he's been a captain at least twice, though. So yeah, these guys, a lot of them are vastly experienced and, like I say, have a lot of. If they can be a proper, like say, centre, because I think, like say, there were 3 like high drafted centres this year, and they all did incredibly well in NFL. All of them had rave reviews, so a lot of them, like say, could make all rookie teams. So yeah, it's such a coveted position. Guys that, like I say, one can kick out when they need to. Like, so obviously we've got Graham. You could play him at centre. He could do a fine job. Like I say, he could hold the fort. Could do it at guard. Like I say, I imagine these guys. A lot of them, I've noticed. Like I say, a lot of them are they're smaller. Centers are usually always a bit small, like say 6'3", 6'4". But a lot of these guys could kick out or kick inside to play guard if needs be. But yeah, a lot of these guys, the way I look at a lot of them, a lot of running schools. So like I say, they're very sound in run blocking.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to centers, I have a rule. I trust the Big 12 and I trust the Big 10 when it comes to centers. And we got an Iowa State guy in here, we got a West Virginia guy in here. Jacob Gideon's going to be the wild card.
Yeah,
Like his
I like the look of him.
Yeah, like I don't trust PFF as far as I can throw it, but for these things, I have to use PFF grades to gauge where they're at, and like his numbers are popping off the charts, so he's going to require a look. And the MAC has produced some linemen recently. Like two of Central Michigan's tackles are now NFL guys, so you cannot write them off. But certainly, this is the centers are not household names, but there is a lot of potentially great talent out there, which you just need to know about. So these five will be watching closely. Moving on to the tackles now. So the tackles we've got here, and we've got some big boys here. We've got Quinn Carroll. He is
I
the
like him.
We've got Quinn Carroll from the Minnesota Golden Gophers. He's 6'7", 315 pounds. We've got Peyton Collins from the Eastern Kentucky Colonels. He's 6'6", 301 pounds. Dalton Cooper from Oklahoma State. He's 6'6", 315 pounds. Reed Holsky from the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. He's 6'6", 306 pounds. Valentin Sen from the Yukon Huskies, of course, I'll go there. 6'7", 305 pounds. Braden Swartout from the Central Michigan Chippewas. 6'7", 305 pounds. Jordan Williams, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. He's tiny. He's 6'5", and 315 pounds. Michael Tarquin from the Oklahoma Sooners. He's 6'6", 317. And Amari Knight from UCF. He's 6'7", and 318. I'll go into the specifics with them in a moment and their stats and that, but we got a lot of big boys at tackle here, Ryan, and you've already thrown a name out there, so I'll throw it over to you.
Yep, Quinn Carroll and Dalton Cooper. Like I say, Quinn Carroll, 2 years at Minnesota. He started all 26 games at right tackle. Like I say, he's got nearly 50 games under his belt. Like I said, just under 2,500 snaps. 6'7". He's an absolute mountain. And the Golden Gophers, they want to run the ball. Like I say, a plethora of running backs. Like I say, he's a physical, dominant run blocker. Like I say, pass protection needs work going backwards, but going forwards, like I say, he's a man mountain. And once he gets going, like I say, he's someone that is a vastly experienced right tackle. Like I say, and he's very comfortable on that side. And like I say, he's got a lot of snaps experience on his belt and career start. Someone that has enjoyed a long career of football. And on the other side at left tackle, you've got Dalton Cooper. I say 36 games at left tackle for Texas State. He was the Sun Belt All Third Team 2021. Got the big move over to here. And like I say, 49 career starts since moving to Oklahoma State. Like I say, that's the second most on the team. And like I say, second year Oklahoma State. Like I say, he's been an anchor at left tackle for them. And who's been running behind him for the whole time he's been here? Just one Ollie Gordon. Like I say, he's been protecting him on the blind side this year. He's a big man. He's heavy. Got all honourable Big 12 mentions last year. And it's someone that is a franchise career left tackle. So if anyone's working for a project or they don't need one now, but they want a guy that can anchor the left-hand side and has got experience playing on that side his whole career, like I say, you can look at Quinn, you can look at Cooper. There's two guys, like I say, have spent, they've not had to swap very rarely. They've been that given the blessing of basically just been told, we don't need you to move. That's your position. And they've done it for years. Like I say, both of them now 6'7", so they're absolutely massive.
Yeah, so just to put the stats, so Quinn Carroll's mentioned, the right tackle from Minnesota, 2 years at Notre Dame, three at Minnesota, 2,106 snaps at right tackle. He's played a smattering at right guard and left tackle as well. He's given up 7 sacks, 15 quarterback hits, and 49 quarterback hurries altogether. As Ryan mentioned, he's a high-level run blocker because he comes from a system that loves to run the ball, but his pass protection grades have gotten better every single year. Obviously, with the new quarterback there, he's gotten better because they're throwing the ball a little bit more. And then for Dalton Cooper, as Ryan mentioned, 4 years at Texas State, two at Oklahoma State, 3,669 snaps at left tackle, and he's got 173 at right tackle. So 3,800 plus snaps of experience for him. And in those 6 years, he's given up 10 sacks. 15 quarterback hits, and 76 quarterback pressures, which over a course is not much at all. He's been a career high-level pass protector. Obviously, Texas State love to throw the ball. Oklahoma State, they love to run it, but they do throw it as well. His run blocking has been better than average all of his career. And most importantly, there was no drop-off in it from the move from the group of five to the power five. So those are the two Ryan mentioned there. Of course, I will drive you all mad with the Yukon talk, but I am going to highlight Valentin Sen here. He's 6'7", 305 pounds of absolute pure muscle from Yukon. So he spent 1 year at Colorado to start with, but the last four he's been with the Huskies. 2,518 snaps at left tackle. Do you know what he's given up? 2 sacks and 3 quarterback hits in 3 years of being a left tackle. He's given up 32 quarterback hurries altogether. He is above average in both disciplines as a run blocker and a pass protector. And this is a system which I adore. Gordon Samis, who is the O-line coach at UConn, is an absolute genius of a guy for a school to send so much talent to the NFL. I don't know if you've seen, but Ryan Vandermark, he's hanging around that Buffalo offensive line at the minute as a seventh round pick. Obviously, last year, my Christian Haynes thing drove people mad, but he will be a great player for Seattle going forward. And this year, both UConn tackles are coming to the draft. Chase Lunt, the right tackle, is coming as well. But Sen at 6'7" and 305 pounds to be such a good pass protector at that height, the guy is a road mauler in the run game, and he is strong and physical and will outbattle you if you're trying to get to his quarterback. And as I mentioned with the UConn system, they run a lot of complex plays. The guards have to pull a lot. The tackles have to pull a lot. You've got to be highly athletic. You've got to be highly skilled. You've got to have good IQ. And Valentin Sen ticks every single box. And he is the one I'm going to go to bat for this year because no one will mention his name. I like Chase Lunt, but Valentin Sen is a lot better. So I urge you to watch this guy if you watch the Hula Bowl this week. In terms of the other guys we've got in here, so we've got Peyton Collins. He's the FCS guy. 5 years at Eastern Kentucky. Got 3,750 snaps at left tackle. He's given up just 7 sacks and 13 quarterback hits and 74 quarterback hurries over his career. But over the last 2 years, he's given up just 2 sacks and 29 pressures. That is it. Another high-level pass protector, and he's above average with the run game as well. Reed Holsky, 5-year starter. 5-year player from Miami of Ohio. 3,200 snaps at right tackle. He's got minor snaps at left tackle and right guard as well. 8 sacks, 13 quarterback hits, and 55 QB hurries given up. He's a high-level run blocker. He's improving year on year with his pass pro as well. Braden Swartout, Central Michigan man. They sent 2 tackles to the NFL just a couple of years ago. He replaced, who was the right tackle out of the pair of them? It was Spider-Man. Oh
They
God.
had Godecker and Ryman. They were there when he was a freshman.
Yeah,
I'm just reading.
Godecker was the right tackle. This was Luke Godecki's replacement, and Godecki's playing for Tampa Bay now. 2,395 snaps at right tackle. He's given up 13 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, and 50 hurries. Didn't give up a single sack this year. This was his best pass protection year by far, and his run blocking was really good this year as well. You got Jordan Williams, 5 years at Georgia Tech. A lot of these guys are career guys in this group. 3,100 snaps at right tackle, 300 at left guard, 15 sacks, 12 quarterback hits, 53 QB hurries given up. But he's given up just 3 sacks on the last 2 years, and that Georgia Tech team has threatened to be good. He's a steady run blocker. His pass pro has improved to very high quality the last 2 years as well. And then we've got the 2 late entrants, Michael Tarquin, 4 years at Florida, 1 at USC, 1 at Oklahoma. He's a right tackle. Just 1,500 snaps, not the most experienced. 9 sacks, 4 QB hits given up. He's steady in both disciplines, but he's never played starter reps in his career. This is a career rotation guy. I think most he's played in a career is 400 in a season. And then you've got Amari Kite from UCF, 4 years at Bama, where he didn't play much, 2 years at UCF. He's got 1,000 snaps at left tackle, 685 at right tackle, gave up 5 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. Another terrific pass protector. He's a high-level run blocker as well. That UCF system, Like Tylen Grable, he moved over to Tylen Grable's left tackle position when he came to the draft last year. Um, he's done one season at each tackle spot. He's done really well. So I mean, this is a highly experienced group, Ryan. Again, a lot who've been very loyal to their teams, who are very experienced, and if any of these guys might be able to show through, I think you might get some surprises from this group.
Yep, a lot of guys, let's say 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", guys that have got 35, 40, 45 career games. They've started 25, 30, 35 career starts. A lot of them, like I say, played some positions, but majority of kind of by now they know which side they play on. And they have pretty much been long-term stars and captains, and a lot of them have made all teams, like you say, second, third, first. So yeah, these guys are pretty much career veteran. They're veterans now at this point. These guys are older, but offensive linemen usually come to draft older, and that's kind of how you want them. Like you say, you want them like well bedded in. So yeah, like I say, Swart out. Like you say, two times All MAC. Came in as a freshman, started 5 games, and then like you say, he's only missed one game in 3 years. Started every other game since he's been a sophomore. Like I say, from the Chippewas, so he's definitely one of the guys to watch. He's one of the bigger ones. And like I say, he's learned off some of the best. Like I say, when he was a freshman, there were two future NFL tackles literally already on the team. So that's a good path to follow. Doing pretty well there at their trenches.
Exactly. You've got some good lineages, your Yukons, your Central Michigans, these guys who send them there. So you have to take notice of them because they're coming from good coaching, and that's what it's all about. It's about the coaching. You're technically gifted, then, some of the other intangibles don't matter as much. And then finishing the offense, we've got the guards. And these are all big boys. No one below 6'3" here. So you got JJ Lippy from Northern Illinois. He's 6'5", 311. Drew Moss from Colorado State. He's 6'4", 300 pounds. You've got Lucas Scott from the Army Black Knights. He's 6'3", 305. You've got D'Artagnan Tinsley. I love the name D'Artagnan. You're just an absolute great there. 6'4", 320. Clay Webb from Jacksonville State. He's 6'3", 310. Addison West, he's from Western Michigan. He's 6'3", 305. Luke Kandra from Cincinnati, the Bearcats, he's 6'4", 323. Justin Myers from Colorado, he's 6'4", 320. And then Torricelli Simpkins III from South Carolina, he's 6'5", 319. And I'm just going to say, I adore this class of guards. So JJ Lippe is a left guard. He's a high-level pass protector. Drew Moss is a right guard. He's a 3-year right tackle, actually. 2 years at Lamar in the FCS. He spent his last year at right guard, and he was elite all over the show this year at the right guard position. Lucas Scott from Army, he is a right guard, but he was their right tackle this year, and as you can imagine with Army, he's an elite run blocker. D'Artagnan Tinsley, he is an elite pass protector. He's a left guard from Cincinnati. Clay Webb, he was on my team to watch this year. He's the left guard from Jacksonville State. One of the biggest maulers in the entirety of the group of five. He's just a stud, former high-level Georgia recruit. He plays on the left as well. Addison West, you've got from Western Michigan, the Broncos. He's the right guard there. Another elite pass blocker. He's given up one sack in 1,301 pass blocking snaps, and now he's an elite run blocker as well. As of this year, his grades went up as such. Then you've got Luke Kandra from Cincinnati. He's the right guard. He is an elite guard from the Big 12. The last 2 years, his numbers have been insane, and he's been doing it at the Power 5 level as well. You've got Justin Myers, who's the left guard at Colorado. He's also posted great numbers these last 2 years as well. And then Torricelli Simpkins, he's a right guard and a center. So he came from North Carolina Central, which is a HBCU. He spent most of his career there. Came up to South Carolina this year, started at right guard for them this year, and posted elite grades, especially as a pass blocker. So he's made the jump from HBCU to SEC, and he's made it look effortless. I look around at this entire class, right? Moss, Webb, West, Kandra, Mayers, like, they are some absolutely stud guards in here who've had elite college careers who potentially could do it at the next level. Like for me, this is almost like the candy shop of positional groups for me in this one.
Yeah, there's some big names like NFLBuzz.com, like say Luke Kandra, projected to go in the third or fourth round. 895 snaps, like say he's barely taken a playoff all this year. Elite run blocker. Like say only give up 2 sacks in 895 snaps, like say in pass pro. Like say someone that's projected to be potentially in every at least first 3 downs as a maybe as a rookie, like say as a left guard. So he's someone like say Big 12 again. He's someone that is definitely going to be projected to be a future long-term starter. He's someone that's like he's here to just solidify the stock, but should be a day 2, day 3 draft pick and someone that you're gonna blood in. So yeah, there's some big names here. Like I say JJ Lipper, left guard, most of his years started all his games. Like I say NIU. Someone like I say other than injury, which cost him most of 2023, he has played a long time. Like I say, someone also that's very vastly experienced. So yeah, there's a lot of guys here that have played a lot of football. Like I say, a lot of them pretty sound run. Like I say, just need to work on pass pro, but a lot of them have got the wrong game down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I'm the Lions, I would draft maybe 75% of these guys. Like, yeah, I can't explain, you watch these guys. They're just some great ones in here, but especially for me, Clay Webb, Luke Kandra are awesome. They've done it, and he's done it at the Power 5 level. Mayers has. Torricelli's come through the ranks as well. He's blasted SEC opposition this year. I'm going to watch Torricelli Simpkins some more because to just jump up from the HBCUs to the SEC and be a starter year one and be elite is you've got to have something about you. And Drew Moss, JJ Lip, yeah, watch the guards. We're saying they're really, really good. Um, and then just in terms of, I guess you classify them as special teams, but in terms of the offense for the kickers, we got Dragan Kisich from the Minnesota Golden Gophers. He was on the preseason watch list this year. Tyler Loop from Arizona. Maddox Trujillo from the Temple Owls. And then the long snappers for them. Donato Crescente from Rhode Island Rams. Austin Riggs from the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. And I'm not even going to try and say his name. I'm just going to call him Josh from the Colorado School of Mines because his last name, even Washikowski? Chowick. I'm gonna right. No, I butchered it. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm sorry, Josh. You're just Josh from the Colorado School of Mines as the long snappers. Right. Let's move on to the defense because we've still got some guys to go through. So, gonna start on the defensive line. We're gonna start with the interior guys first. So, a smorgasbord of guys here. We've got Ricky Barber from the UCF Knights. He's 6'2", 295 pounds. We've got Keontae Hamilton from the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. He is 6'3", 304 pounds. DeAndre Jules. He is from the South Carolina Gamecocks. He's 6'3", 315. Fatoma Mulber. He's from the West Virginia Mountaineers. He's 6'3", 306 pounds. Wesley Neal Jr. from the Rhode Island Rams. FCS guy, 6 foot 315 pounds. Chidozie Nwankwo from Colorado. He's 5'11", 290. Devontae O'Malley from Northern Illinois, representing again, 6'2", 293. Junior Tafuna from Utah. He's 6'2", 305. Shane Cokes from Colorado. He's 6'3", 275. And Javari Ritzy from UNC. He's 6'5", 290. Now, again, not a lot of household names here, but is there anyone you want to draw attention to, Rye, before I dive on them a little bit?
List. Uh, I've seen Nwankwo play before. Like I say, he's so like I say vastly undersized. But we've seen those in recent years, haven't we? Of like say the Kansas, even Byron Murphy wasn't that big. Like say someone like say that has got a lot of ability to take on double teams. Like say because also 5'11", he gets under guys very easily. Like say someone that can use the leverage and the short, stocky body builds. Like say to get pressure from the inside. And
Yeah.
they've had a pretty good D line this year. I was pretty impressed with the Buffaloes generated in general, like say next to guys like BJ Green, did a really good job of generating pressure, and they were pretty good for most part of disrupting quarterback play. Like I say, he's somewhat smaller, holds his own against the run. Like I say, he can shed a double team, he can fill his gap, he understands gap assignment for someone like say that is uh, at the next level, it will be a struggle. Like I said, being like I said under 6 foot as a potential DT, you're gonna have to get someone like I said that'll ski and move him around a little bit. But like I say, yeah, he's someone that offers versatility in the fact, like I say, he's just got that first step. He's got the speed to get off the line and count time the snap. Like a lot of the bigger guys, the sluggier guys, he will be able to go underneath you. So he is going to be someone like I said, just because his body type brings something a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's break these guys in half then. So we got Ricky Barber from UCF. So he's primarily a three tech. 128 quarterback pressures in his career. That includes 17 sacks and 34 quarterback hits. 167 tackles with just a 7.7% missed tackle rate and a high level run defender to boot. But you're playing that UCF system, you know how to play against the run. We got Keontae Hamilton from Rutgers. He's got 1,300 snaps in the interior. He's got 400 on the edge as well, so he's done a little bit of everything. 45 quarterback pressures, including 5 sacks and 5 hits. However, he had 4 sacks and 24 QB pressures this year, so his pass rush has come on as an interior guy. 100 tackles, pretty much just a 9.3% missed tackle rate, not too bad. Graded 76 against the run this year, so a stout presence on the Rutgers interior. DeAndre Jules is the three tech for South Carolina. He's been a rotational guy, not really done anything that jumps off the page there. For Torma Mulber, he's the nose tackle from West Virginia. I do know a bit about him because I like Virginia, my Mountaineers. 6'3", 306 pounds. So 26 quarterback pressures, 1 sack, 3 hits. This guy's a run defender. We got him from Penn State. 73 tackles, 3.9% missed tackle rate as a nose tackle. That makes me very happy. 44 run stops. He's been a 2 year starter for us. He is great against the run. And then the wild card, we've got Wesley Neal Jr. from the Rhode Island Rams. He's a nose tackle and a three tech. He does a bit of both. Nearly 2,000 snaps in the interior, 56 quarterback pressures with 11 sacks and 12 hits, 131 tackles. Now, his missed tackle rate over his career is 13.2%, but it was sub 8 this year, so it's getting better. 76 run stops. He's a career elite run defender, and the pass rush has built up slowly year by year. So that's the first half of him. So got nose tackle, we got some guys who move over, and then we've got Rhode Island. Rhode Island have sent some talent in the last few years, at least onto the draft circuit. But Wesley Neal, I mean, looks very promising. Some of these guys potentially, right?
Yeah, like so you've got all different type of bodyguards. You've got guys like say that can play. Well, some I suppose will play like say like bears, two hands in the dirt. One of them can play kick outside, probably like say play with no hands in the dirt, or just one. Like say one probably primarily, or two of them like say were 300 pounds, primarily a interior defensive tackle. Like say maybe a nose tackle, someone that is primarily going to try win up the middle or take on between the center and the guard. But yeah, some of these like say lighter, smaller, slender. Like say in a four-man front, will play either side of a nose tackle. They're able to, like say, try win and exploit the matchups. Or they're going to try create the holes for a guy like a linebacker or someone to come through. So yeah, there's a lot of these guys here that it's everyone on this list here. It's primarily down to, like say, the scheme they run, the scheme they come from, and how they're going to go and fit into a 3-3-5, a 3-4, like say, four-man front, a 4-3. That will just change what their responsibilities are and what they're asked to do and if they're able to do it. So yeah, these are the hardest to judge at probably everyone we talk about today because defensive line schemes probably the most different you'll see in the NFL from team to team.
Yeah, they are indeed. So your second five, you've mentioned in one quote already. So he's a nose tackle and a three tech. You've got 2,000 snaps in the interior, 60 quarterback pressures, just 5 sacks and 11 hits. So it's not there with him yet, the pressure. 127 career tackles, sub 10% missed tackle rate, although it was 16 this year. He's been at Houston his entire career until this year when he went to Colorado. 84 run stops. He is a stud run blocker. That Colorado defensive line has been a lot better this year, and it's because of guys like him. You got Devontae O'Malley from Northern Illinois. He's 293, another undersized one. He's a pass rushing three tech, 90 quarterback pressures, 24 sacks, 14 hits. nearly 100 tackles, 13% missed tackle rate, so that needs to improve. 62 run stops, couple of forced fumbles, and he's got a pick as well. He's an evolving pass rusher. So he's got 17 sacks in the last 3 years. He had seven this year. He's a steady run defender, but he's a bit undersized. Gives you Collage vibes. Junior Tafuna from Utah, 6'2", 305. He's their three tech. 60 quarterback pressures, 9 sacks, 5 hits, 100 tackles, 11% missed tackle rate. Although this year it was zero. He didn't miss a single tackle. So man's got skills when it's tackling. 66 run stops. He started as a pass rusher. So 6 of his 9 sacks came in his redshirt freshman year. He's only had 3 since then, but he's turned into more of a run defender now. Graded 80 against the run this year in that formidable Utah front. Shane Cokes, another Buffalo. He's their 3 tech slash 5 tech. He does a bit of both. 70 QB pressures, 10 sacks, 8 hits, 124 tackles, 15% missed tackle rate over his career, but it was just 9 this season. 76 run stops. Career, he's been a really good run defender. So he was a 3-year guy from Dartmouth in the FCS. Spent the last 2 at Colorado, done pretty well for himself there. And then you end with Javari Ritchie, who's the one I'm intrigued in.
I
6'5",
am because he's
290.
an edge. I look at his numbers now and like I'm thinking he should be in the edge room.
Probably. He's a 3 tech, or he has been for most of his career. So the numbers are 61 quarterback pressures, 10 sacks and 4 hits in his career, 122 tackles, just a 7.5% missed tackle rate, 52 run stops, pass breakup, interception, steady run defender. But this year, 7 of his 10 sacks came this season. It was a sub 6% missed tackle rate for him. He even had a pick as well. Might feel like there's a positional change there, but these guys who just they have that year, we've seen a lot of it. Like so with Levi at Washington, they're steady over the career, and then they make a move and they explode, and you find the right part for them. And Javari Ritchie and that UNC defense has been awful for ages. He gets no help from the guys on there. May have found a niche with him, and may have found a place in the NFL with it because, like I say, maybe a stud pass rusher, move him out a bit.
Yeah, this is one of those stories where for the first 3 years, either he was trying to play the wrong position or they were not asking him to do the right things. Because like I say, some of they move him, and like I say, 6.5 sacks, 84-yard pick six. So the guy clearly has got some athleticism to him and a bit of top end speed to outrun a defense, outrun an offense. Yeah, this year all clocked in together, like you're saying, it's gonna if he comes in at every bit of 6'5", like 280, 290, big man, that's a long, slender frame. Not someone you want with their hands in the dirt on the inside, really. Not if he's got these pass rush moves. So yeah, someone that they're probably gonna get to move to an outside linebacker.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing him in this. Let's see what they do because again, it was the same. It was the same with Levi. They played him at nose tackle his entire career, and he's clearly not a nose tackle. They moved him to 3 tech, and all of a sudden he was wonderful. So sometimes just a positional change. That's why you don't go over stats all the time. Sometimes you've got to look at the scheme fit. Sometimes it just ain't right, and you don't get the best out of them. Moving on to the edges, we got 9 as it stands. So we'll do the first. Well, so we got Xavier Carlton from Cal, Jasheen Davis from Wake Forest. We got pair of Baylor Bears, Steve Linton and Garmin Randolph. Got Danny Strigo from Minnesota. So mile marker, I know you're listening. Ears up, more Golden Gophers. JJ Weaver from Kentucky, BJ Green from Colorado, TJ Jackson from West Virginia, and David Van from NC State. So the first of these 4. Xavier Carlton plays a little bit of 5 tech, but primarily on the edge for Cal. 6'5", 275 pounds. This is big man. 124 career QB pressures, 15 sacks, 18 hits, 127 tackles with a 16.5% missed tackle rate, 70 run stops, 3 pass breakups. Ever improving as a run defender, just coming off a 7-sack season as well. So another who's potentially found his niche at the 5 tech position as well as an edge. We got Jasheen Davis from Wake Forest. He's 6'3", 270. Big dude. 148 quarterback pressures. This guy loves to rush the passer. 28 sacks, 26 QB hits. 117 tackles with a 14% missed tackle rate, although it was just 7 this year. so he's getting better. 81 run stops, 4 pass breakups, 3 forced fumbles. He's a solid all-rounder. He's had half a dozen sacks or more in the last 4 years, so steady, consistent production. And then we've got the Baylor boys. Steve Linton, 78 quarterback pressures, 12 sacks, 8 hits. 86 tackles, a 20% missed tackle rate, 61 run stops, 4 forced fumbles, and a pass breakup. His run defense is average, getting after the passer average. And then Garman Randolph, 69 quarterback pressures, 13 sacks, 10 hits, 115 tackles, 16% missed tackle rate, although it was 26% this year with a couple of pass breakups. He's the much better run defender in this Baylor front. And I'll stop it there. I mean, we saw it with Siaki Ika last year in his 30% missed tackle rate. These Baylor boys on the D line don't know how to tackle to save their lives, and that ultimately keeps them down. But Jasheen Davis, you used to watch Wake Forest a lot. I'm sure that's a name you may be familiar with.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them. Their defense has spent a lot of time on the field this year. Someone like say very versatile. Like say he's got that frame where he's happily in a 2 point stance. Like say out wide on the edge. Also would be asked to drop into coverage. Like say being one of the smaller guys, one of the lighter guys. Like say is able to also pick up a running back out in the flat. Like say someone that could defend those outside areas. But like say he's got a good blend of size, strength, speed, recognition, like say to be a linebacker, say someone like say he's pretty good. Randolph's like say is the weird one, like say like 2 meters two, but 260. He's got a really odd frame. Like you say, I don't know, he's one of those guys where you look at him, I look at him, I think he's not an edge rusher. I look at him and think too big. Like as we saw Andre Carter with that same kind of build, he struggled as a pro. Like saying he was dominant at college, but like say another guy here, like say he's so big, he's so lanky, he's so upright. You just think like you say he's going to struggle to get much speed or real leverage off the edge. So he's someone like say I don't know, someone's going to love that. A lot will be like, ugh, no, thank you. Like say, how much impact can he make at such a small, slender frame? Like say, and then high miss tackle rate, it's perfect storm.
It's a thing with Baylor. Like when people were going on about Ica's size, they were like, "Oh my God, that size is electrifying." It's like, yeah, but his missed tackle rate's 30%. Like that's not acceptable for a nose tackle slash DT. And the guys on the edge, like 20% for this season, both of them. Like that Baylor team, like we know the offense is good, but the defense isn't, and there's a reason why. Because at the line of scrimmage, you can't hold on to people.
This second group, I did some homework on Strigow, and I know BJ Green very well. This second group, very
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, let me just quickly go through them and then have your way with them. So we've got Danny Strigo up first from Minnesota. He's 6'4", 255 pounds, 60 QB pressures, 15 sacks, 9 hits, 110 tackles in his career, 15% missed tackle rate, okay for an edge, 64 run stops, 2 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles, an interception. Again, really good run defender whose pass rush is growing. We've got JJ Weaver from Kentucky. He's 6'4", 255. 100 quarterback pressures, 20 sacks, 10 hits, 180 tackles. He's done some. 18% missed tackle rate, 99 run stops, 3 pass breakups, 5 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. He's a career really good run defender. Does a fair amount of coverage work as well for some of these guys, and he's all right against the pass. It sounds lazy, but he reminds me of Josh Pascal, really good against the run and okay as a pass rusher. BJ Green, as Ryan mentioned, from Colorado. He works some 3 tech, some 5 tech, as well as on the edge. 150 quarterback pressures, 23 sacks, 39 quarterback hits. Ryan will know him because he was a Sun Devil at one point. 80 tackles, 20% missed tackle rate, little high. 63 run stops, 4 forced fumbles. He's a stud pass rusher. He's got 100 pressures in the last 2 seasons.
I think he led the nation in pressures over the last
Yeah,
2 years.
yeah, 100 in the last 2. TJ Jackson from West Virginia. He's a primary 5 tech. He was from Troy. So he spent 3 years at Troy, came out of that system, 100 quarterback pressures, 19 sacks, 18 hits, 109 tackles with a 19% missed tackle rate, but it was 30 this year, but he was moving from Group of Five to Power Five. 86 run stops, 4 PBUs, 4 forced fumbles. As I say, he's an elite run defender from the Troy system, and he's got 6 sacks or more the last 3 years. You saw what happened with Javon Solomon, guys like that. They got drafted last year out of Troy, so TJ Jackson could follow them. And then David Van, the 5 tech from my NC State Wolfpack. 130 QB pressures, 25 sacks, 23 hits, 120 tackles, 87 run stops. This year, he's had 8 sacks and 6 forced fumbles. The man has been a menace. He's an all-round player on the edge. He's got a missed tackle rate that needs bringing down, but apart from that, a stud. Lot better prospects in this one, Ryan. You've mentioned a couple already.
Yep, Strigow, all Big Ten, honorable mention, 22, 23, 24. Big Ten Sportsmanship Award this year. Academic All Big Ten every year, 21, 22, 23, 24. 50 plus games as a Golden Gopher. Like I say, he's one of the most experienced of the group, the longest standing. And as you say, only 15% missed tackles. Every one of these guys here can be boom or bust. This guy plays against the run, probably better most of them combined. Like I say, to be a Minnesota guy, you've got to be able to set the edge. Like I say, Minnesota now has got a 6-0 bowl streak, and he's played nearly all of them. Like I say, he's PJ Flex leader, and like I say, interception, passes defended. He's one of the only guys in this list that is trusted to drop into coverage as an outside linebacker. He's big, he's long, he can pick up tight ends, he can pick up the running back. He's very comfortable showing blitz and then backing out into coverage, and then, like I say, kind of marshalling that open field. He's very well rounded. He's a guy that could play multiple downs at the next level. Flip that to BJ Green. The guy is a terror. He's a boom or bust, pressure sack merchant, like I say. You don't want him in the wrong game. You don't really want him in coverage, but you want him getting after the quarterback. Imagine how good the Sun Devils would have been if he'd not left in 2023. I think he's wondering what had happened if he'd have stayed this year. Could they have made a natty with him? Because like I say, 200 pressures in 2 years. He was the leader across 2 years, absolute menace. 13 and a half sacks as well across those last 2 years. For someone like say that is 6'3", 6'3 and a half, like say 215, 220, 225. Good build. Just got that elite step. He's got the moves. Like say he can win with force. Pass rush downs, like you say, but that is the kind of guy that will make some good money at the next level. Just sacking the quarterback. Like Von Miller did. Don't want him in the run game. Missed tackles could be high, but it could be a Von Miller kind of guy. The guy that just comes in, like I say, ends the drive. Like I say, he should do very well at his next level because he's got that finishing ability a lot of guys just don't have.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. He is like those are the guys you do like to see though. Like I like my splash play edge rushers. Like
I would like BJ Green. He very much reminds me of like a James Houston, but
yeah,
bigger. Like I say,
yeah,
he just brings pass rush, but
yeah.
that's totally fine because that's all I'm drafting him for.
Yeah, you got a couple of stud DTs in there who are doing the damage. Then you've seen what that Colorado D line did this year. It made life hell for people, and he was a big part of that. So yeah, the edge class has some promise to it, and I want to watch Dave and Van. Dave and Van has had such a big year for us. He was not disappointed, but you kind of was hoping for more from him this year. But he got 6 forced fumbles alone this year, and like half his career sacks. Oh, a third of his career sacks, sorry, this year. So that just goes to show the year he's had. So I'm looking forward to seeing David Van in this. Just a couple more groups to go now. We're on to the linebackers. We've got 12 of them. We've got Jake Chaney from the Wisconsin Badgers. Oh, we'll do them in half. So we'll do the first 6. We've got Jake Chaney from the Wisconsin Badgers. He's 5'11", 233. We've got Branson Coombs from the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. He's 6'2", 222 pounds. We've got Power Eccles from UNC. He's 6', 225. We've got Ruben Hippolyte, the second from Maryland, 6', 240 pounds. We've got Nick Jackson from the Iowa Hawkeyes, 6', 235 pounds. Then we got Matt Jones from the Baylor Bears, 6'3", 246 pounds. Those are the first 6, and immediately one team in there sticks out for producing very good linebackers, Ryan.
Yeah, it's Iowa, isn't it? And
Yeah.
Wisconsin as well. It's another one where it's the Big Ten. The Big Ten, like I said, they just love linebackers, don't they? And to fair though, Power Eccles, He and I can't remember Lavania, the young freshman. Like I say, UNC, like I say, they've had a really good linebacker pair this year. Like I say, they're undersized, but they're very good in coverage. Like I say, they're able to hold their own in the run game. So the Tar Heels have produced some good. Like I say, the rest of it, Wisconsin, UNC, Maryland, Iowa. Like I say, Nick Jackson and Jay Higgins, one of the best pairs in the country. If you're talking guys that can coverage guys that can get interceptions, that can get pass breakups, that can actually pick up a tight end, or can get, like, say, a wide receiver on a slant, and you'd feel comfortable kind of leaving them there in the middle, inside the box, to just kind of do their thing. They will just gladly buzz around all day, make plays. Big fan of Nick. Like I say, be a big fan of Jay. Like I say, those two come together. But yeah, this is a really good list of guys. Let's say good and comfortable in the box and can make tackles, but also a lot of them are very comfortable when you ask them to do go like mano a mano, like say, do have to like say pick up those in breaking routes and very comfortable trailing a guy.
You know how many tackles Nick Jackson has made in his college career?
If I had to guess how many years he's played,
Six. Four at
six,
Virginia, two at Iowa.
415.
518.
Wow, that is a lot of tackles.
518 tackles with a missed tackle rate of 8%.
Wow,
That's it.
that is a low percentage for a guy
That
that has done a lot of work.
217 run stops. In coverage, he's been fine. He's given up 77 percenters, but for a linebacker, that's not too bad. Just one pick, five pass breakups, nine battered passes. So a lot of getting up to the line of scrimmage, and but
Yeah.
I'm like the dude is a menace. 518 tackles and an 8% missed tackle rate. That is what Virginia apparently and Iowa does for you. Other guys you've got in here. So Branson Coombs is a really interesting one from Wake Forest. So 3 years at Southern Illinois in the FCS. He made the jump up this year. Pass rushing, he's got 9 sacks over 4 years. It is what it is. But this is another guy. So 256 career tackles, less than 7% missed tackle rate, and 126 run stops. But as a coverage guy, his coverage it's 66%. He's been targeted 109 times. He's only given up 72 receptions. He's got 7 interceptions and 11 pass breakups from the linebacker position. And at Wake, he's posted an 80 grade this year, coming up from the FCS to that. And again, Wake Forest were a bad team, but it wasn't because of their defense, right? Like he's been really good this year. Branson Coombs has maybe one to watch out for.
Yeah, like I said, they've had some good linebackers and good safeties. Like I said, they've had a lot of guys. Like I said, they play a lot of box. They usually put a lot of guys in the box that are very busy. They're a team, like I say, that kind of does stack and it wants to take the run. So I'm not surprised he's someone's very comfortable in and around the tackle box. So yeah, he's got a lot of play. And like I say, coverage. It's a good coverage grade. Like I said, they'll put him out in a grade there and they'll trust him. Is it Masterson? He was the Wake Forest linebacker that got drafted, wasn't it? He's in the NFL now.
Oh, I don't know if he's still. I know he's probably
Yeah.
knocking around somewhere.
Yeah, like I say, he was only there a couple of years ago, and he was very good. I remember well. He was a demon deacon. Like I say, yeah, they do like those big, hard-nosed, gritty linebackers. Like I say, that very comfortable with run stuffs and dropping back as well.
Exactly. And then you've got other like Power Eccles is really experienced. Jake Cheney's been good with Wisconsin, so some potential good linebackers here. But Nick Jackson may be the pick of the lot of them. 520 career tackles, mad. The second lot here, you got Austin Keys of the Auburn Tigers. He's 6'2", 247. He's big dude at linebacker. I think he's a safety hybrid. Dorian Mousey Jr. from Auburn as well, 6'1", 234. You got Jaheim Thomas from Wisconsin again, 6'3", 245. Kareem Reed from Utah, he's 6', 226. Seth Coleman from the Illinois Fighting Illini, 6'4", 250. And then you got Lavonta Bentley from Colorado, and I didn't put his size up. But again, I mean, Auburn, you've got some good guys there. Mousy, I really like, but then you got Wisconsin, Illinois, some more good linebackers coming out of the Big Ten.
Yep. Coleman's very much a tweener. I'd say 183 tackles, but 15 sacks. Coleman is a guy that kind of just flitters around, like you say. He's got the size to go pass rush, but I imagine a lot of this is probably blitzing. He'll be the kind of guy that'll be in packages where you can twist him, stunt him from underneath. Someone that's able to, like, say, when the hole and the play is flowing over, he finds the cut back lane to get to the quarterback. So Seth Coleman's definitely one of the guys to watch. He's one of the most productive guys of this entire group. And like I say, he's got good size. He's got a good frame. Like I say, he's able to cope with the physicality in the middle of the field. And 183 tackles, 15 passes defended. Someone else that understands where if you don't get to the quarterback, you've got to get your hands up. You've got to get in passing lanes. You've got to make yourself big and just try to disrupt that ball. And tipped balls, anything in around that area, like I say, it's 6'4", 250. They always say that like tips, spills, over drills, everything. Those are the kind of drills they're going to do. Like I say, you've got to be on your toes and ready at any moment's notice to get a batted ball. And he's someone that will probably benefit from those kind of drills and show that, like I say, his big frame and the big range and length probably it gives him an advantage over the guys, like I said, that are 5'11", 6 foot.
It does indeed. So you've got some really experienced ones there. Levante Bentley, he's a good pass rushing linebacker in there. You've got, let's say, the open pairing. Mousy was at Duke for years. He's had a good year with Open. Jaheim Thomas, he was at Cincinnati last year. Went 1 year at Wisconsin. He's done really well there. Seth Coleman, as Ryan's mentioned, a tweener. So the linebackers, there's some potentially really good guys here. Some with mileage on, some you can do a lot with. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing them. Then we've got the corners and the safeties to go. So corner wise, and oh, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We've got about 14 here. So we'll do those we'll do the first seven here. So we've got Kendall Bowler from the Florida A&M Rattlers. We've got an HBCU guy in the house, 5'11", 195. We've got James Burgess, another HBCU undergraduate, Alabama State. He's 6'3", 186. Got Fentrell Cypress, the second from Florida State. He's 6', 188. Jonathan Edwards from Tulane. He's 6', 200 pounds. Nazir
Had a
Forkurian
look at this kid.
from
Had an
Wisconsin,
interesting path there.
opposite Ricardo Hallman there, 6', 190. We've got Dante Kent from the Central Michigan Chippewas. He's 5'10", 195. And then we'll finish with for this group for Jordan Oladukan. He's from Bowling Green, 6',
I wonder if he's related to the
190.
Chiefs quarterback,
I
Chris Oladokun.
I've not looked. Possibly, but I've not looked. But anywho, that first group there, a name popped to your attention, right?
Yep, Nizia. I don't know how you say this.
For
Four, four,
for Curian.
for Curian, like I say, 6'1", 190. So this guy actually played D2 football. So he was the Div 2 Associated Press First Team All-American in 2022. He went to Grand Valley State University, which is a big school, GVSU. 38 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, 18 passes defended in a year. And he managed to get himself to Wisconsin. And in 2 years, 2023, 2024, 90 tackles, 63 solo, 7 passes defended, interception, and 2 sacks. This guy is elite in the physical side of the game. Press coverage corner that can blitz off the edge. He's a very good tackler. Like you say, he likes to get up and in your face. He likes to pop you. He likes to, like say, jam you in those first 5 yards, make life really difficult for you. According to Daniel Harns, the Draft Network, he's got NFL size at the next level. He's very comfortable to be put on an island and win at the line of scrimmage. He's got the ability to bully some guys, like say, when the ball is caught, it kind of ends there and then. Very sound tackler. He's got a strong day three projection on him because he's got the tools, he's got the physical traits. He's played at 2 levels with lots of production. Like I say, he's been a very good partner outside of opposite Coleman, who was a bit of a ball hawk. This guy's the totally other way. He's a physical press tackling corner, like I say, that does really good inside those first 5 yards of line of scrimmage. Someone that will get a lot of looks. Like you say, he's had to work really hard to get where he is, and I think he's going to have I think he's going to be a really likable kid. Like you say, he's kind of had to come all the way up to get to where he is right now.
Yeah, and like I say, when you're playing opposite Ricardo Hallman, guys probably gonna throw at you, not him, after his like eight interception year last year. So not the easiest spot to be in there. I mentioned there's a couple of HBCU prospects in there. We've got to give them love because we always do. So James Burgess out of Alabama State, he's 6'3", 186. He's a career Hornet. He's a really good player. 122 tackles, 14% missed tackle rate over his career is not too bad. But when it comes to his coverage, he's given up 64 receptions on 140 targets. That is 45% completion against him. Six interceptions, nine pass breakups, does a little bit of work in the box as well. He certainly has been the last couple of years. His run defense has gone from 65 when he started to 84 now. This is a guy who's got the frame, 6'3", 186. He'll come down and he'll hit you hard, but he's got light hips. He's very fluid in coverage. He is the sort of a do-it-all guy, and as our good friend Gerald will tell you, there's one thing the HBCUs do well, it's DBs. Look at Kansas City. Joshua Williams he's worked very well, but they do them well. And then Kendall Bowler from Florida A&M, like his numbers are even more gaudy. He started at Mercer, he spent 4 years at Florida A&M, 123 tackles in his career with just 12% missed tackle rate for him. He's given up 83 receptions on 178 targets. Again, that's just 46% given up against him. He's got four interceptions and 21 pass breakups. The guy is a ball hawk, and he does work all over the secondary. He's got triple figure snaps in the box, at free safety, in the slot. He's predominantly an outside corner, but again, the frame 6', 195 is really good. So these are two very plucky prospects coming out of the HBCUs there who have a lot of career production behind them, and they've been very loyal as well. That always means something. But I mean, even else in this group, right? You got Fentrell Cypress. He's been all over the
He's
place.
vastly experienced, isn't he? He's been
Yeah.
around the block.
Before he went to Florida State, he's had his good times there. Jonathan Edwards, he's really good outside linebacker from Tulane. Um, Oladukan, I need to do a bit more digging on,
Well,
but
look, he is Chris's brother.
oh,
So the
is he?
former FCS star and the current Chiefs, yeah, he's his older brother. He's got a lot of honours. He was on the Jim Thorpe watch list at the start of the year. He was on the All MAC first team, CFN's All Third America team. Like I say, he's had himself quite a 2 years in a MAC. He was All MAC second team last year as well. So he's been an absolute star this year.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some good players in that first list there, and then to finish the list off, we got Bryce Phillips from San Diego State. He's 6', 195. We got Miles Purchase from Iowa State. He's
He's interesting because like I
5'11",
say, I think he should be a
205.
safety.
I
He does it all, doesn't he?
I like
He's a DB.
I love Miles Purchase as
Yeah, I
well.
do.
5'11", 205. We've got Keontae Scott from Auburn, and I've erased his figures for some reason. Cam Stone from Hawaii. We got Rainbow Warrior in the house. He's 5'10", 200 pounds. Carlin Vigors from ULM, the Warhawks. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. Aiden White from NC State Wolfpack, 6', 192. Adore this guy a lot. And then we got O'Donnell Fortune from South Carolina. I mean, we got some potential names here, right? But we'll start with Purchase.
Yeah, Miles Purchase, like you say, he's a guy with Bo Freuler, with guys like that at Iowa State. He plays all over. That's one of the better defense in the country, and their secondary in general, it's just been fantastic. Like you say, he's a guy, like you say, only 5'11". He's smaller, but he does not shy away. He's a physical hard tackler, 145 career tackles. He's played a lot of games. Like you said, that is a unit that's stuck together for years. Like you say, he's played in Matt Campbell now for all these years. He's been part of a team that's just had its first ever double-digit win season, got to 11. Like you say, he's very talented. He's got 24. He doesn't get a lot of turnovers, but 24 career passes, like pass breakups. Like you say, someone that's just incredibly physical. And also, in a couple of years, return kickoffs for 2023 and 2024. So, like I say, someone that's just a general special teamer, hard worker, and general. He doesn't really have a position. He kind of just floats around. Like I say, I'd put him in the slot, probably like a nickel defensive back at the next level, but he'll do very well there, like I say, because he doesn't let, like I say, that smaller friend of frame shy away from big tackling. Like I say, someone like I say, he's probably one of the more experienced guys on the whole list of playing 4 whole seasons in the Big 12, which has got a lot under his belt. And Matt Campbell's defenses have always been pretty good.
And he's a great run defender. Like that kind of
Yeah.
puts
He
your
can play in
argument
the
towards
box
going to
despite being
safety.
under 6 foot.
Yeah, that maybe puts your argument at using him at safety a bit as well because he's a really
Yeah,
good run
that's why
defender.
I think he's more of a safety. Like I say, he can play in the box. I think someone's gonna look at him and think, I'm not gonna play him outside because I'm just hanging him out there to dry.
Mhm.
Slot, he's Brian Branch almost. With just
Mm.
without the turnovers. Like I
Yeah.
say, he's very much Brian Branch. Like I say, he will not shy away from hitting a tight end. Like I say, it's not someone like I say, it's just in his DNA. Like I say, he loves contact.
Yeah, and I mean he's his career 50% when it comes to his coverage, so he's good in you know, he could do very well as a safety. So I agree with you. I would
Yeah,
like to see
I think
him
someone's gonna look at him and think, yeah,
get
let's
the
put him
move
back at
there.
safety.
Yeah, exactly. I would like to see him get the move there. Of course, I'm going to mention Aiden White as well. I always mention Wolfpack guys because I love them. He's had a little bit of a down year by his standards. He's a 5 year guy for us, 3 years as a starter, but overall, he's just been immense. 167 career tackles, sub 10% missed tackle rate for him, which is really good. 129 receptions given up on 241 targets. It's trial by fire with him here. 9 interceptions, 23 pass breakups, but another one who's been good against the run. Not so much this year. And he's carried a ding though, so I think that's kind of affected him a bit. But he's been a team captain. He was, he's a very good corner in his own right. Probably not going to get love early on, but as someone you're going to pick up later on to develop, he's certainly going to be in the equation there. Got a few underdogs in here. Bryce Phillips from San Diego State. He was a Tennessee State player. He's had 1 year in the Mountain West, acquitted himself really well. He's got just one interception, one pass breakup. The numbers aren't there, but the run defense has been good. Got a couple of sacks in there. The pressure's been good as well. 43 tackles. So this is a really intriguing group there. Carlin Vigors, he's been one of ULM's best players. Uh, that ULM secondary has taken an absolute pounding. But we highlighted him as a player to watch. Oh, I think it was the year before last, maybe this one. But overall in his career, he's given up 60% on the passing, but 2 interceptions, 6 pass breakups. He is an elite run defender as well. And he's actually a pass rushing corner as well. You can use him in that regard. So, yeah, that second group, there's some good players in there as well. And Keontae Scott's been good for Auburn, but yeah. And then we finish off with the safeties. And the safeties, they were a little harder to try and track down some of these guys, but there are some potential great guys in there looking at them. So
I
we've
know
got
Brian. I saw a list. I thought straight away. I thought I know Brian Addison. I've seen him
Yeah.
before.
So we got Major Burns from LSU. He's 6'2",
He's a
200
long time. God,
pounds.
is it? I can't believe he's still in college.
I know he's got to be getting on. We've got Cameron Fabiculanen from Washington. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. We got Keandre Jackson from Illinois State. We got another FCS guy here. He's 6'2", 225, built perfectly. Donovan McMillan from Pittsburgh. He's 6'2", 205. But Brian Addison, he's 6'5", 195 pounds. He's big, man. Then we've got Zion Childress from Kentucky. We've got Alakai Gilman from Utah and Shaquan Loyal from Rutgers. But straight back to you for Brian Addison, right?
Yeah, like you say, he's got one of those. He's built very much like Kyle Hamilton. So Brian Addison, like I say, former UCLA Oregon safety, 6'4", 190 pounds. Spent the best part of 6 years at redshirt freshman. So 94 tackles of his career, 11 passes defended, 6 interceptions. He's featured in, I don't know if this is true, according to their websites, 67 games he's featured in over 6 years. Like I say, he has been in college longer than probably most of the guys on this list. He has been everywhere. Like you say, he has got crazy size and length. The guy is built like Slender Man. Like you say, he's a free safety. Like you say, he can tackle, but he's someone you put as a high, like say, Marshall either side of the field. Like you say, he's also played a linebacker. So he's also got like that weak side linebacker kind of look where in packages where he will play in the box. Because like I say, very strong tackler. Like you say, he's got a big frame. He wraps up very well. He's someone that's very strong. So you can put him, like you say, you can bring him in. Like you say, he can drop down. Like you say, he's played a lot, 2 big schools. Like you say, he's very experienced. He's someone that's got a lot of good figures as well. Like you say, someone that's just really enjoyed playing, like say, that West Coast style where they kind of just leave him out there to do his thing. They trust him. Like you say, he can take away those deep routes. He understands leverage. Big, tall guy knows I've got to stay over guys. Corner underneath him coming over the top. Wide receiver's worst nightmare. You don't want to get sandwiched behind them, like I say, and he understands like that. Like I say, he is the deepest man usually on the field. Unless you say you're going to bring him in, like you say, as a strong safety in the box where very comfortable. Like you say, slender, can build muscle, but no issue tackling, like you say. He can go up against some big guys. He's happy to bring them down open space. Yeah, he's one of the more prominent names on the list, purely because he's got a lot of experience at two of the biggest schools in the country. So he's probably someone I expect to get drafted.
Mm. You've got some very intriguing prospects here. So the FCS guy, Keandre Jackson. Now I've watched a little bit of him. This guy reminds me so much of JL Skinner, the Boise safety from
Yeah,
a year or so ago.
massive.
He's 6'3", 215 pounds. He's built like a fridge, but he is so nifty. So he's a 4-year Redbird. Is it Redbird? They are Redbirds, aren't they? Yeah,
Yeah,
the Illinois State of the Redbirds. So half a dozen sacks, 26 quarterback pressures. He comes up and he can blitz 211 tackles with just 11% missed over his career. 64 run stops, two forced fumbles. He's 69% in coverage, but he's got 5 interceptions and 10 pass breakups. But his run defense has been elite his entire career. This guy, when he hits it, he means it. But this year, his line, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. He's tackled over 100 tackles with an 8% missed tackle rate, 2 forced fumbles. He's got 3 interceptions and 6 pass breakups. This guy's a magnet to the ball, and his coverage ability this year has just exploded to go together with an elite run defense. Now, again, Illinois State, FCS, all good and proper, but his build, the way he plays, it just really reminds me of JL Skinner, and I love JL Skinner, and I still can't believe he went at like pick 190 or whatever it was. This guy might go in similar territory, but Keandre Jackson is certainly a small school guy to watch for, but 6'3", 215, perfect build. Shake one loyal. I mean, we like our Rutgers guys, like the Rutgers secondary, 6'1", 204. He's a 4-year Rutgers guy, 2-year starter. 4 interceptions, 7 pass breakups. He's a ball hawk as well. 150 career tackles, 11% missed tackle rate for him. Doesn't blitz as much, but I mean, Rutgers, if there's a school you're going to go to for DBs and the line there, Rutgers is a place to go.
yeah. Like say Max Melton last year. Like say the Cardinals. I think it was it. Yeah, I think he
He's a
became a starter very quickly in Arizona. Like say, he
mm,
worked his way up. Like say, came out very prominent. Rutgers, good secondary, well coached in college, very experienced. And like I said, it's another guy that's kind of just fit in that mold of someone that should look like, say, will probably get starting reps or relief reps at the next level once he's made a big name on special teams. But someone there, like I said, that's played at a good level. It's got a lot of production, good size, and yeah. A well-respected school, like I said, that's kind of just got a bit more respect in recent years for producing next level guys.
yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah.
you 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 pay attention to your Rutgers guys. As for you mentioned Major Burns,
Yeah.
he's been in
Yeah,
5 years now.
yeah. I look at Major Burns and like I said, he's the biggest leader out of all the group. Like I say, he's probably the most vocal. Like I say, been around a long time. He's had a lot of injuries. That's the only red flag, isn't it? He's missed a lot of time, a lot of
Yeah,
injuries, a lot of some were avoidable. Like I say, tenacious hitter. Sometimes you can call that code for reckless. He's a he's a lay the wood, boom the shoulder kind of guy that can be a bit reckless at times. But yeah, played a ton of games. He's pretty much started all the time. He's not been hurt for LSU. He's played with some of the best players in college, some of the best players in the NFL right now have passed through the gates. Like I say, he's probably one of the most respected players at the whole Hula Bowl. And I think his reputation will precede him that someone's going to take a chance on him at the next level to be a potential rotation guy. Like I said, it's just vastly experienced at one of the biggest schools in the country. So yeah, he ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of guys.
he does. I say you've got some good guys. Fabi Kilanen's been at Washington for 5 years. He's had a good last couple of years. 4 interceptions for him from the safety position. First real year as a starter this year. racked up nearly 800 reps. He'd not passed 500 before this. So some of these guys have, like Major Burns, just never really got going.
Yeah, like say some of them, like say, have transferred into a program. They've kind of like say had a good year, or they're kind of just finding their feet, and yeah, they're just banking on that decent year. Like say it's Washington State, a good secondary, the Coug as well. Another team that's kind of been producing good players recently. Oh, I think I might have lost you, Ant. Yep. So other safeties we've got on list. Like you say, you've got Alakai Gilman, Utah Utes, so a long time Pacific player, like you say, that played Stanford for a couple of years before he transferred over to Utah. Like you say, played with Detroit's very own Sione Vaki. A lot of ties with them, smaller guy, also Hawaiian. Like you say, he's only at 178, so he's probably 5'10, 5'11. Like I say, he's played a bit more of a rotational role in that secondary there, but someone that can kind of move between the nickel, the slot, the corner, the safety. So Gilman's been a kind of guy that in his time as a Cardinal was very much like say go out, do a job, like say can tackle, like say doesn't back down from anyone even despite his size, but is also pretty comfortable in coverage for a smaller guy. Like I say, he's one of those feisty guys, like I say, tenacious, holds his own, and also does a great job on special teams. So need to put on kicks, punt returns, field goal blocks, someone like I say that'll work really hard and then earn those reps on the game day.
Sorry about that. Internet just conked out there, but yeah, probably at the right time. We're just about at the end of this now. Are there anything else you want to mention about any of the players before we move on?
Nope. Zion Childress, very didn't get around to him. Like I say, 62 career games. Like I say, he has been a long-term servant in college football. Like I say, the Kentucky Wildcat, he has been a very vast experienced player. He's someone that's very well respected, and he's got a lot of production. I think he's probably one of the guys here that's probably got the best chance to make an impact as the next level as a day three or a prior UDFA. Nearly 300 tackles, 17 passes defended, sacks, interceptions across his career. So, like say, another SEC guy, like say, that can very much like the Jordan Battle-esque, played a long time at a prominent position at a big school for a lot of years, and he's found his way. He got starting reps with the Bengals this year. Zion will probably very much hope to be in that kind of 2, 3 safety rotation on a given team.
Another Texas State transfer as well. They
Yep.
just send guys into the
He had
Power
two
Five.
great years and got the big move to Kentucky, yeah. But he's made the
Yeah.
most of it.
Yeah, he's had some good players. As I say, I think before I cut out, I mentioned Max Hairston, the corner who's come from there. I don't know which bowl he's going to, but that Kentucky secondary is legit. Held Georgia to nothing this year. It's you gotta give them their respect and their dues. Right, the last positional group to go over very quickly is the punters. Got to give love to special teams. So this for Brendan Hall from Montana State, Alex Mastromano from Florida State. I'll tell you right now, he's probably the best punter in the draft.
Yeah.
Period. Jesse Mirko from Vanderbilt and Mark Vassett from Colorado. So that's your punters there. Mastromano will be the one to watch. He punts for days, and he had to do a lot of punting this year because Florida State were really bad. Right, so that is your Hula Bowl roster breakdown. Hopefully you have enjoyed that and you know a little bit more
It'll
now. And
probably
as I
change
mentioned,
tomorrow.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. It'll change. The game is on it's in 3 days' time, so I think it's Friday or Saturday. One of. They did the first day of training yesterday. They're getting accustomed to it all, so we will let you know how the game went on next week. Stats wise, there's sometimes not a lot to take out of it, but all the training down reviews and stuff like that. Who's done well, who's not done well. And I say, if there's someone you've heard about, you want us to do a little bit more on that you're intrigued in, just let us know, and we will do that work there for you. Right. We'll finish off today with our quick thoughts about the Cotton and Orange Bowls that are coming up. So obviously the college football playoffs, we're down to four now. We've got Texas versus Ohio State, and we've got Penn State versus Notre Dame. And as much as it's paining me to say this, I have this horrible feeling we're going to be getting an Ohio State Notre Dame natty game, and those two have been right at the top of my fraud list for years now. But I look at the pair of them, and to be honest, I don't see either Penn State or Texas putting up much of a fight against these two coming into this weekend. What were your thoughts, Rye, about the semis? You on the same wavelength, or do you think somebody could upset the apple cart when it comes to Ohio State and to Notre Dame?
Can't see Texas winning. I just look at it and I think Arizona State, but who weren't. It was kind of scrappy, and like I say, they were doing a lot of stuff on the fly, and like I say, they were able to find a lot of success running the ball and passing it a bit in the second half. Ohio State, a far more polished offense. Like I say, it's going to be, like I say, can Barron, can Taff, can those guys go up against like likes of Jeremiah Smith? Can they take away Ibuka? Like I say, Innis, guys like that. I just think maybe that Will Howard, like I say, the composure and that. I think he's got the offensive core to, let's say, the secondary to pick on the secondary. I feel like they will be able to have more success than the Sun Devils did, especially early on. They should find success quicker, and I think there's that balance. And then on the other side, like you say, what a dangerous defense and secondary. Like you say, we weren't able really to get to Quinn Ewers, but Ohio State is not going to have that problem. Tui Malau, Sawyer, like I say, guys like that. And like you say, once you fluster him, I think that the key to that, I think, is the Texas O-line. Obviously, will they get their right tackle back? Kelvin Banks' biggest test of the year. Like I say, I think the D line can win that battle. And I think, like I say, if you get and put Ewers off the rhythm, the secondary in the
It's
defense, there's takeaways there to be had. So for me, it will be the Buckeyes that win.
it's the lack of a run game for me. Like you completely stopped Texas's run
Yeah.
game, and they had to
That's why
throw.
he's now
But
only got 45
what?
yards. Jaden Blue, he's explosive, but he's not, you can't give him the ball all the
No,
time. He's
but
not a carry guy.
no, and like I say, when you took that run game away, that completely leveled the playing field for you guys who were two-score underdogs in
Yeah.
this game.
Marcus
So
Golden will not
Ohio
find the
State's D
space
line
that he did
are
against
quite
us
clearly
against
going
them.
to, yeah. Like Ohio State's D line's going to have a field day against that run def, and if you put it into Quinn Ewers' hands, like you say, Sawyer's going to come, Tuimoloau's going to come. They're
Lathan
going to bring
Ransom,
so much
Denzel Burke, and
pressure.
that they can go up against Gunnar
They're
Helm
just
and Marcus Golden.
Yeah, and there's not a lot the likes of Kelvin Banks can do about that when they're teeing off on you. You could be the best pass protector in the world, but when the run game's not there, so if they can run the ball, Texas, they've got half a chance. And then, like you say, maybe it's going to come down to the secondary. I mean, for Jade Barron and Andrew Makuba, I think how big an opportunity is this for them? Have a good game here. You
Big
are
for
a bona
draft
fide
stock, yeah.
first round pick. You are a bona fide first round pick if you do well in this and you catch a few and lock it down.
Yeah, this is a huge test for them. Like I say, it's going to be one of the biggest, one of the most potent passing offenses they will have ever faced, and it's also their biggest stage as well. Like you say, Makuba is a name. Like you say, he's right now. Like you say, can he be up there with the Nick Eman Juarez, who was projected first rounder? Can Andrew be in that same kind of conversation? He was in the past at one point at Clemson. He was
Yeah.
start there. Can he prove like 2 years later he still warrants that like top 50 draft pick?
I think he does. I think like the pick that finished you guys off was just sensational, but they're gonna have to be great again.
He
This
wants to go in the end of the first round. Yeah, he wants
if
to prove he's as good as Malachi Starks.
if Texas
Well,
win if Texas want to win this, that secondary's got to play out its mind, and they've got to get some semblance of a run game to protect Quinn. That's what they've got to do. but I don't see it happening. As much as I hated on
I
Ohio
don't see
State, they
Texas
just
running the
look.
ball on Ohio State at all.
And I mean, like their D lines on it, like Jack Sawyer. Everyone's talking about Jack Sawyer now, and I've looked and I'm like, again, I seem to have had this natural bias against Ohio State prospects, but ever since the flag planting and you saw the passion, he was like it made him angry, but he's instead of going away and sulking about it, he's gone away. He seems to be training harder than he ever has done in his life, and he's going absolutely berserk out there he's taking it out on the opposition and he's on a tear, and you look at it and you're like, he's relentless. Like Dan Campbell must love watching him play football, which is why I think you do have to give credence to the fact that he is a possible draft pick for us, especially that high. Like the man's on fire right now.
Yeah, biggest time at season, biggest games he's ever played in. He's just found that little bit of extra motivation, and he's realised, like you say, the difference between earning 1 million in the draft and earning 3 million on a rookie deal is big performance in the playoffs. The difference between going 45 and going 31 or 32 is vast. And if he does it here, he'll bridge the gap. We've seen a couple of guys in recent years, they've only gone in the first round because of maybe one game, 2 games. That was enough to just tip them over the edge.
You see what I do? Draft Sawyer, put him on one end, Hutch on the other, and go, right, whoever gets the least sacks has to wear the opposition's kit for a full day, go to a game, be a fan. Like just
Oh
proper
yeah.
pit them off
Those two
against
would
one
wind each
another.
other up.
Of course they would, but can you imagine? Whoever gets less sacks this season has got to do a forfeit. You've got to put each other's unis on, whether it be Michigan or Ohio State. Just wind that clock up and let it go. And God, do you imagine the chaos they'd cause together? Like it's opposite, but he's awesome. So yeah, I think it's a little too much, but this is a big opportunity for Texas and some of their guys. On the flip side, Notre Dame, Penn State, I just think Notre Dame are going to absolutely kick their ass in the trenches. I've just not seen Penn State have had the easier run through so far, and they look like they've had trouble in some parts of it. I'm not ready to believe in them just yet. But for Notre Dame, they're just trench warfare wins it for me. When I see you winning the trenches all the time, like Riley Leonard's not having to play. He's not having to throw 200 yards a game. He's not having to put the game on his back. They just get to Jeremiah Love, etc. And then Riley Leonard's just got to be good. And he's found some weird dual threat ability that
Yeah,
he's
his
not
rushing
used a lot
ability,
in the
like I said,
past.
80 rush
Like
yards last game.
it's
Is the Penn
crazy.
State defense prepared to keep Leonard in the pocket? It's going to come down to Abdul Carter in it.
He's going
If
to
you
have to
flush Leonard
have.
out, you're going to have to bring him down.
I mean, he could cement himself as a. He could put himself up for a number one pick if he comes into this and gets a few sacks and is disruptive and wins Penn State the game. But again, you feel, is it enough? I watch the two teams and I look and I'm like, Notre Dame look all round just
Yeah.
more
And I
dominant.
also, yeah, you just got to look at guys like, say, Xavier Watts. Guys like him, like, say, Drew Aller sometimes gets the yips, doesn't he? Like, say, the odd turnover, like, say, and we saw those guys, they prey on it. So, like I said, these Notre Dame Fighting Irish DBs are going to look at this game and think, yeah, we can go after Drew Aller.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They will. I'm gonna just let Matt know we're nearly done. Do,
But
do,
I
do, do,
don't see it
do.
there. I think, yeah, I see it's going to be another defensive slugfest. I see a pretty low score on Notre Dame Penn State.
Yeah.
Keep it low scoring. Notre Dame should win the game.
Hmm. I mean, I know at this minute because we'll just sort of finish out. If anyone's, in fact, there was a question from earlier I need to go back for. Just let me refresh the chat after I froze just to make sure we're all where we should be. If you've got any questions you want to ask us quickly before we get out of here, just let us know. But I think Brent mentioned it earlier. Assuming Brad doesn't trade up, which I doubt, who could be possibilities at edge and center for us in the first two rounds? Those are my two early pick hopes, lol. I mean,
I don't see any first round center.
no, not one that wouldn't be moved to center. I think you would be transitioning someone, and you don't want to take a tackle or guard so high to transition
Where we're
them.
currently at between 30 and 32, your edge rushers are Princely Uman Malin. Right, so he's built in the hutch, high motor, 6'5", 6'6".
Jack
Mike,
Sawyer,
yeah, Mike Green, the Marshall edge that led the nation with 17 sacks. I saw a mock today. Yeah, he's very much at the end of the first. Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimalau, and yeah, and like I say, if you're looking for interior help, you're looking at someone like Donovan Jackson, a guard from Ohio State. They're your edge and your O-line options, I think.
Yeah, it's
If you
yeah.
want to reach, you've got guys like you say, you've got like Kyle Kennard, like you say, but he's probably just outside the first round. So there's a lot of edge rush.
See, the one I'm doing the tape on him at the moment, and I absolutely love him. The proper dark horse I've got here to go high for, or at least second round, is the Boston College edge, Donovan
Yeah, I can't
Aziruaku.
pronounce his last name, but hey,
I
he's
love
small, but like you say, he's destructive.
I love Donovan Aziruaku. I think 2 years ago I had him on a watch list at the start of the season. He had an all right year, but this year he's been insane. I've been watching his Missouri game tape and like he's so quick. Like he's beating double teams, he's bending round the edge, he's tracking back, taking down runners. I love the thought of him as a fit here with us. And again, Boston College. They're a team I trust when it comes to trench players. I mean, it just sometimes works with them, but Zero Arku
Yeah.
certainly would be one, and he'd probably the one I'll do a video on very
There's also
soon.
the Minnesota offensive tackle.
Oh,
He could go at the end of the first round.
oh Christ, what's it? Yeah, because both their tackles are in the draft, aren't they?
Yeah,
I can never remember the left tackle's first name.
no, he's
Oh,
got a fancy name.
it is. Yeah, I'll have to get back to that, but those are certainly goes. But I'm guessing we're thinking edge.
Yeah,
And like a trench player at the end of the like definitely a trench player because we need an edge, we need interior help, we need center help in the long term, and maybe we need a D tackle as well. Who knows? But yeah, those are some of the ones for now. But we can break down some edge prospects for the Lions in at the end of the first round or the second round maybe for you as well. Yeah, I think that's about it. No other questions in for now. So hope everybody has enjoyed the Hula Bowl roster preview. Hopefully you're a bit more wiser about some of the guys in the building now. And yeah, we'll get back to you next week, let you know how they got on. In terms of next shows going forward, as I say, the main Lions podcast is back on Monday because we're on a bye, so we're having a few days off. So you catch us for that. It's a mailbag episode. So if you've any Lions related questions, again, just drop them into us, and we will get researching them up for you. And then me and Ryan will be back next week, probably on the Wednesday again, about the 15th of January. That'll be the Hula Bowl review. Obviously, we will review the Cotton and the Orange Bowl as well, and we'll do some more draft stuff as well if we get any questions or anything. So you will catch us back here in a week. You can find us at Roar of the Lions UK all over the internet. Don't forget to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. We really do appreciate you all. We appreciate you being with us here this evening, and we shall see you again um, in a week, next week at some point. So yeah, see you Brent, see you Marker, see you everyone who's been in the building. Say we really appreciate you all, and until next time, one pride.
Recording stopped.